Maybe. All right. Get set up here. And hope that we can have some good conversations this evening. The goal is to... Oh, hey, thanks both sides. Friday Ogar indeed, yeah. We're doing a rare Friday stream. And we'll see how long we go. Hey, Bradley Cooper, Goblin Brain. Thank you for the support. Thanks for being here. Obviously, as always, the goal is to have good faith, linear debates about whether or not there's justification to believe in a God. I don't know what that means, accidentally atheist, but I'll assume it's a compliment. Hey, thanks, Casey. That's awesome. But yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you are an adult, that you can tell me what God you believe in, and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. That's fucking awesome. Okay. Oh, well, I appreciate the compliment then. Thank you. Doing okay. My boss, how old are you?
Sure, 46.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
God Simplicator, the God of Plato. The God of the foundation of the Abrahamic faiths.
Okay, I mean, I guess okay, whatever. So you're just like a theist? You're not actually like a Jew, Christian, or Muslim?
I'm a Baha'i. We're a very late stage Abrahamic faith.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay. I'll be honest, I don't know a ton about Baha'i, but I don't know how relevant that'll become. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Sure. So justification simply means premises are valid, terminating a sound conclusion.
Well,
if premises are valid, terminating a sound conclusion, we have justification.
No,
that's actually the definition of it.
No. We would be looking for a sound argument, right? So not just a valid argument with a conclusion that you think is true.
I said sound.
No, you said you said the conclusion was sound. I'm saying the argument needs to be sound.
The conclusion is sound. The argument is sound if the conclusion is sound.
No.
Yeah, yes, it is. Major minor premises terminate in an integrated conclusion. That's sound.
So look, I don't want to just like you made a simple blunder. That's fine. It's not a big deal. We can just agree that we can just agree. We can just agree that we're talking about a sound argument, right? Obviously, like valid in structure, but also true premises. That's the part that you're skipping over. Is that the premises have to also be true.
This is going to be absolutely easy. You're going to lose in like 30 seconds. So
okay. So do you want to provide the argument or?
Yes. Okay. So this is going to be a logically positive argument, meaning that it's going to be grounded on.
I don't want to hear about the argument. I just want you to give the argument, please.
Okay. So first, we're going to use the definition. The definition of God is the identity of perfection. Perfection means
identity of. Okay, but here's the thing. I just want the argument.
Yeah, but you need to have an.
So just give the argument. If I need clarification, I'll let you know.
Sure. Perfection and imperfection co-instantiate in existence, therefore perfection exists.
Hold on. Perfection and imperfection co-instantiate in
existence. Existence. Therefore perfection exists.
And what, this is the first premise?
No, that's the entire argument. It's called simplification. It's a valid structure.
Okay, so I just want the syllogism.
No, that is the syllogism. It's a valid structure. The inference rule is called simplification. It's a minority valid structure. So it consists of a single premise and a conclusion. So perfection and imperfection co-instantiate, therefore perfection exists. That's sufficient for God.
Okay, so you're not actually giving an argument. You're just saying that since this conjunction is true, then that's easy to say one of the conjuncts is true.
No, excuse me. It is an argument. An argument is anything that follows the proper form of a rule of inference, such as modus ponens or modus tollens, Simplification follows a rule of inference with respect to formal validity in its structure, so therefore it's an argument. It has one premise, terminating conclusion. It's called simplification. Look up the structure of it.
What's the argument that perfection is instantiated?
Because it's instantiated by imperfection. I said co-instantiate. They instantiate each other. So
yeah, what's the argument?
Of imperfection? Sure. The argument itself is called tautology. Here's how it works.
No, I'm not looking for a tautology. I'm looking for you to justify the claim that perfection is instantiated. Just claiming that it isn't justification for the claim.
Sure. Let's use the transformation rule. The transformation rule is P is not P. In order for P to be not P, it has to be not P. Okay?
Okay, that was again just a tautology. Here's what we're gonna do, boss. Here's what we're gonna do. You're going to justify the instantiation of perfection without appealing to a tautology.
How's it feel to lose? You lost. Hey, you lost.
Okay, so do you want to actually give the argument, or do you just want to? Well, you still haven't justified. You still haven't justified the claim. So do you want to justify the claim, or do you just want to beat on your chest?
No, I use the transformation rule, and you're just in denial that you lost.
Okay, so you just want to beat on your chest. You don't want to actually do it.
No, do transformation.
Okay, so I'll give you
transformation.
Yeah, I'll give you one last opportunity. Yeah, I'll give you one last opportunity. What is the argument that perfection is instantiated?
Oh, you lost.
Okay, well, hey, thanks, bro. Okay, well, hey, I mean, if you don't care to substantiate your argument, that's fine. We can just move on. That which can be asserted without evidence can be rejected without evidence. It's pretty easy. Yeah, no, it's pretty obvious. He's not a serious interlocutor. Yeah, not P is obviously P, right? I mean, nobody's arguing against that. Certainly not me. Okay. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Yeah, is that guy not just Deathless Light? Are they different people? Because if they're different people, that's wild. Okay. Okay, it is the same guy. Okay. I wasn't sure if that was Deathless Light or not. Well, I know that both those usernames are trolls. I just wasn't sure if they were the same person. They sound similar, but I have a terrible memory, so I'm not going to trust my memory on whether they sound exactly the same. Okay, I think I need one of those. Okay. All right, so if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. I don't know what you mean by lore drop, Daniel, but anyway.
Hello.
Hi, Ryan. How old are you?
18.
Oh, okay. Obviously not. Come back in 5 years when you are 18. All right. Once again, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Thor. How old are you?
I'm 41. How old are you?
I'm 40.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Likewise. And what God do you believe in?
Let's go with Spinoza's God. Are you familiar with that?
Okay, so you're a pantheist?
Pantheist. I wouldn't even say that Spinoza was necessarily a pantheist.
Yeah, Spinoza's kind of like one of the, I mean, not like the originator of pantheism, but he's kind of like one of the godfathers of pantheism. That's his view. His view is pantheism. So if you're not a pantheist, you don't believe in Spinoza's God, and if you believe in Spinoza's God, then you are a pantheist. And if you're,
did he use that term, or is that something that was ascribed to him later?
I don't know if he ever used that term, but the term describes his position, right? So it's like you could, if you unjustly kill someone, you may admit that you unjustly killed them, but whether or not you ever call yourself a murderer, you are a murderer, right? So like it doesn't matter if he ever used the term. What matters is that the term accurately describes his position, and if you agree with his position, then it also accurately describes yours. So what I'm trying to confirm is whether or not it is the case that you're a pantheist.
What do you think about self-identification? You think I have to self-identify as a pantheist if I affirm Spinoza's God, or do you think that self-identification can be independent of that belief?
I'm just asking if the description pantheist accurately describes your position, and if you can't answer that simple of a question, then clearly we're not going to be able to have a productive conversation, and I'll just move on.
Okay, I'll try to answer it as best I can. I don't self-identify.
Well, it's a yes or no, and the fact that you're acting like it's a difficult question when you could just say, yeah, that concept does describe my view, or actually, no, that concept doesn't describe my view, tells me that you're not a serious interlocutor. So I'll give you one more opportunity. Are you a pantheist? And you leave the app? Are you just trying to run away, or what's going on? So I start playing some Jeopardy music? All right, fair enough. All right, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hey! Nothing was a petulant douche. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, I probably already said that. Make sure you're an adult and you actually have an argument or evidence. I'm really bad about saying the same thing over and over again, and I apologize for that. Hi, Xander, how old are you?
I'm 18.
Yeah. Yeah, so am I. All right. I do mean the part about being an adult. Make sure that you are an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God if you're in the guest queue. Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty big difference between being 8 and 18. What instrument can I play? Lots. Hi, Chico, how old are you?
40.
And what God do you believe in?
God.
I need an unambiguous answer, or we can't have the discussion because I don't know what we're talking about. What God do you believe in?
Well, I believe in God, just
Okay.
one God.
So I'm going to ask the question one more time. If you can't provide a direct, unambiguous answer, then I can just move on to the next person.
Well,
so what God do you believe in?
I mean, can I ask, like, what do you want me to tell you?
So this is my last time asking. What God do you believe in?
I mean, give me a chance, man. I'm just...
All right, fair enough. Yeah, since you don't want to actually engage in the conversation, I'll just move on to somebody who does. One more time, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. I don't know who Johnny is, River. Hi, Bruce. How old are you?
32.
Okay, and what God do you believe in? I can't hear you if you're off the app. Hello? Bruce. Okay, fair enough. Maybe Trevor can handle the most complex question ever asked. Oh my God, what happened?
Oh, hello?
Hi, Trevor. How old are you?
Can you hear me? I'm 21.
And what God do you believe in?
The God of the Bible.
I assume you mean the Christian Bible?
The Christian Bible, yes.
Okay, and what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Because without God, you can have no morals. Is that correct?
No.
How's that not correct?
Well, I mean, it's your claim. What's the argument for the claim? And in fact, actually, you know, it doesn't matter. What's the argument that God exists? Because this is irrelevant.
How is this still irrelevant?
Yeah, what's the argument that God exists?
Because did you know that we are the exact distance from...
What's the argument that God exists?
Hold on. The fine-tuning of the Earth.
Okay, so what's fine-tuned about the Earth?
We are the perfect distance from the sun.
Yeah, what's the source for that?
If we were any closer...
Yeah, how do I confirm that you're correct?
Look it up.
Yeah, where do I look it up? What's the scientific paper that's peer-reviewed that's going to claim or confirm that any change in our distance from the sun would result in our death?
Look it up.
Yeah, where am I looking it up? What's the name of the
And you-
paper?
and
What's
you
the name
didn't
of the
answer-
scientist?
And you didn't answer. Where
What's
you
the
get your
name of the
morals from.
scientist?
I don't know the name of the scientist.
Okay, so you don't actually have support for your claim?
Can you tell me where you get your morals from?
So you don't have support for your claim?
You
You just
can't.
want to pivot?
You can't.
So you just want to pivot is what you're saying? You don't want to actually support your position?
I'm asking you a question. I answered your question.
No, you're not answering my
I
question.
did.
I'm asking for the support for your position. You said that it was science, so I tried to get the science. Then you backed off of that. Now it's not science, so it must be something else. So what is the support for the claim?
Without God, you can have no morals.
Okay, so now we're going to go back to the first claim that you refused to
Yeah.
support. How does that get us to
Without
God?
Because where are you getting your morals from?
So without asking a
Without
question, how does
God-
that get us to God?
Because you cannot have morals without a higher power.
Yeah, that's the claim
All
again.
perfect.
Do you know the
That's
difference
perfect.
between
I know
making
it.
a claim and supporting a claim?
You cannot have morals.
Do you know the
without-
difference between making a claim and supporting a claim?
Oh my gosh, you're not letting me talk.
Do you know the difference between making a claim and supporting a claim?
Yes.
What's the difference between making a claim and supporting a claim?
Making a claim is just stating it.
Mhm.
Supporting a claim is further like going in depth.
Like providing a reason to believe that the claim is true?
Yes.
Do you think that's an accurate description of supporting a claim?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to support the claim that God exists.
Because I just told you, without God, there's no morals.
Okay, that's a claim that has nothing to do with whether or not God exists.
How?
So it's
How?
possible, like let's say that God doesn't exist and morals don't exist. That sounds like it's a perfectly reasonable possibility that your argument hasn't precluded. So you need to give an argument that actually concludes with God's existence. This is the last time I'm asking. What actually is the argument or evidence for God?
But that debunks your argument that God doesn't exist, right?
Obviously not. So since you
How?
don't have an argument and you refuse to actually support your claims, I'm just going to move on like I said I would. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Morals / fine tuning wouldn't support either. Fair enough. Glove, how old are you?
I'm 41, brother.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
The Christian God.
Fantastic. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Science.
Okay, do you think
So what
that...
I mean by that.
Do you think if I just say the name of something that'll be argument for my position? Like, there's no God because of grass. Like, now that I named something, does that support my position?
Let me elaborate.
Well, I asked you, hold on, I asked you for the argument or evidence, and that was your opportunity to give the argument or evidence, and then instead,
so
you just stepped
science.
on a rake and said the word science instead of actually supporting your position.
Well,
do you understand
the
how
very
stupid
first
that
thing-
was?
The very
Do you
first
understand
thing-
how stupid that
the
was?
very first
Do you
thing
understand
they
how
teach you in
stupid that
science
was?
class,
Do you
the
understand
very
how
first
stupid
thing-
that was? If you
Cause and
can't
effect, brother.
engage, if you
Cause and effect.
so if you can't
Let me
engage,
talk.
I'm just going to move
Let me
on.
talk.
Do you
Let me talk
understand?
then.
Do you understand how stupid it was to not give the argument when you were asked for it?
I asked to elaborate.
Yeah, I
Can
asked you
elaborate?
for the argument or evidence, and
So
you
let me
didn't
talk.
give one.
So
So do
the
you want
very
you
first thing they
accept that
teach
that's
you
a
in
really
science
dumb thing to
class,
do, right?
The very first thing they
Okay,
teach
so
you
I'll
in
ask one
science
more
class-
time. If you can't answer a simple question, then clearly you're not worth having a conversation with. Do you understand how
Okay.
dumb it was to just say the word instead of giving the argument when you asked for it?
I understand how dumb you think it is.
Okay, fair enough. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you can actually provide the argument or evidence when asked for it. I don't know why people are so fucking stupid. Just answer the question. Don't do this like game. I don't want the games. Like, no games. See what happens when you play games? I'll just move the fuck on. Oh shit, I forgot to like update it to what I was at before I started. Ah, fuck. Well, I just have to do... I forgot I was doing that. Let me fix it. We'll go... there. Oh. And then that guy just wanted to say cause and effect. That's also not an argument, just so everybody's aware, because that was all he had. All right. Oh, let me check one thing real quick before we bring up the next person. Okay. Hi, Rodolfo. How old are you? Holy shit, Godless Engineers here? Thank you so much. That's fucking amazing. Thank you for supporting. Holy hell. Damn, you fucking rule. Big fan. Big fan. Apparently YK is not gonna connect. I will gladly let people talk as soon as what they're saying is relevant to the conversation. Yeah, your thing glitched. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you one more chance, and it looks like this, Rodolfo. All right. So once again, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Yeah, because I asked for an argument and he just said science. That's not an argument. It's also not evidence. Is anybody going to connect? Hi, Abdul. How old are you?
Hey, I'm 23, turning 24 tomorrow.
Okay. Oh, happy early birthday. What God do you believe in?
I believe in Allah, Muslim.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
The best argument that I believe in personally is the creation of all different living things.
Why should we think that the living things were created instead of just the result of natural processes?
Because if you believe in the natural processes, that mean, how do you believe the earth was made? The Big Bang Theory, first of all?
So I'm just asking you to support your position. What's the evidence or the argument that life came about through guidance and not just natural processes?
My evidence is that God created every creature because...
No, that's not the evidence. That's just the claim. That's the claim that I'm asking for you to provide evidence for.
My evidence is that every creature have different DNA and atoms in their bodies, and they're all of the same. That's my evidence.
Well, how is that evidence for God?
Because the evidence for God is that he created everything. So
no, this is just the claim again, Abdul. You said that the evidence is that they all have different DNA and different atoms. I agree that different animals have different DNA and different atoms that compose their bodies, but I don't see how that's evidence for God, so I'm asking you to draw the connection for me, please.
It's evidence because DNA, the difference that they have is that somebody had to do something to create them differently. Because
no, that's just the claim again, Abdul. So all you've done so far is make the same claim in a bunch of different ways. You just keep rephrasing the same claim. I don't want you to rephrase the claim again. If you rephrase the claim again, I'm just going to move on to the next person because we all know that means that you can't actually support the claim. So what I'm asking you to do instead is to support the claim.
Okay, let me tell you. Which way do you want me to support it? Like...
Anything that supports the claim is fine. If you just restate the claim again, then I'm taking that as a concession and moving on.
Then my support is that what's this? Something cannot just come without anything making it happen.
Okay, so that's just restating the claim again. As I said, if you did that, I'd move on. So we're just going to go ahead and move on. So just restating the claim that things have to be created doesn't support the claim that things have to be created. Do you notice how at first I was letting him talk because he was actually engaging? And then as soon as he stopped engaging, what happened? I started cutting him off and trying to bring him back to the point. It's going to happen every single guest, every single time. Anytime the person tries to run away from the argument and not support their claim that they're being asked to support, I'm going to cut him off and I'm going to bring him back to the conversation. If you don't like that, you don't have to be here. Cool. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Thanks, Poop Man Jones. I fucking love that. All right, we'll move on to the next person. Hi, HD. How old are you?
I'm 18.
And what God do you believe in?
You're a fucking pig.
Okay. Well, if God exists... Oh, he ran away. If God exists, wouldn't you expect him to make me beautiful? All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for supporting. Holy shit, I should run through these quick. Thank you so much, both sides. What's the end of the story, Bames? Oh, I love it. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, both sides. Goblin Brain, Bradley Cooper, KC, Rel, Goblin Brain again. Thank you so much. Accidentally Atheist, KC again, Zane, Lost. If you're the same Lost that I talked to earlier, well, I'm glad to have you here. Thanks for the support. That's fucking awesome. Lem, again, Godless Engineer, thank you so much, sincerely, for being here, for supporting. Hey, fuck yeah. Discordant Rhyme, thank you. Casey again. Jennifer Johnson, thank you so much. Susie, Lem, fucking Godless Engineer. That's so wild to see people that I've been watching and listening to for a long time here supporting. That blows my fucking mind. Decon Blue, thank you. Level Your Minds, that sounds fun. Thank you. Poopman Jones, you know I love you. Ghost, thank you so much. Level Your Minds, Delirious Alt, Poopman Jones, Casey, and Delirious, thank you all so much, sincerely. Still blows me away that anybody's here supporting, so I can't thank you enough. But yeah, we'll move on to the next person, hopefully an adult who actually has some kind of argument or evidence for God. Here we go. We'll see how it goes.
You got no mustache and you're bald.
What? No way. Oh, man. How could I have ever known that voluntarily shaving off my mustache and my hair would make me mustacheless and bald? I never could have known. Hey, glad to see you here, Grumpy Grandpa. Thank you for the support. And Chrissy, thank you so much. Why is this... TikTok is so dumb sometimes, you guys. I mean, you probably already know that, but thanks, Love of Your Minds. Appreciate you. Okay. Hi, Grader. How old are you?
Hello?
Yeah, hi. How old are you?
19.
And what God do you believe in?
I believe in the Christian God.
Fantastic. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
God is real because I'm alive and you're alive and we're all alive. So
why wouldn't we expect us to be alive if God didn't exist?
Because God created humans.
Okay, and what's the evidence that God created humans?
The Bible. The Bible's clear evidence, and there's scientific evidence.
As far as I can tell, the Bible is just the claim, so I'd probably be more... If those are the only two kinds of things that you can point to, then I guess of the two, I would prefer the scientific evidence.
I have a question. You've been asking everybody why they don't believe in God. Why do you not believe in God?
Yeah.
Or why they believe in God?
Sure. I think that... I think, number one, there's no positive arguments for God, so I think that in and of itself is a reason to at least take the negative position about God's existence, but I think there are lots of good reasons to take the positive position that God can't exist. Like, for example, just to make sure that I'm giving an argument that is relevant to the God that you believe in the, like, you know, all good, all-knowing, all-powerful version of the Christian God, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So... we would agree that if God exists, he is all good, which you just agreed to, and because he's all powerful, he could have made any metaphysically possible universe, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And if God's all good, that means that he always makes the best moral choice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So if God always makes the best moral choice, then he created the best possible universe, right?
Right.
Fantastic. And if God created the best possible universe, then it wouldn't be possible for this universe to be better.
What is it?
If God created the best possible universe, that means that this is the best possible universe, and it's not possible for this universe to be better, right?
this universe could be better, but if God were to create the best universe, there wouldn't be any type of
Okay,
anything.
so you're saying
Everything would be the same.
So you're saying that God didn't create the best possible universe.
God created what he knew would work for humans.
Did God create the best this is a yes or no question. Did God create the best possible universe?
He wouldn't create the best.
Okay, so I'm asking you a yes or no question. Any answer other than a yes or no is a dodge. Did God create the best possible universe?
I just said no twice.
Okay, so you just need to answer the question. Instead of saying that you've answered it, just give me the answer. Did God create the best possible universe?
So you're gonna ask the answer again that I just answered 3 times.
So if you can't answer directly, then I'm just going to keep going until you answer it directly. So the answer is going to be yes, no, or I don't know. Did God create the best possible universe?
Do you need me to say it in Spanish? No.
Okay, now that you finally directly answered the question, what we're saying now is that you agreed that if God is all good, he makes the best moral choice. Obviously, making the best possible universe would have been the best moral choice, and you're saying that God did not make the best possible universe. So you're saying that you believe in a God who both makes the best possible moral choice and doesn't make the best moral choice, which means that you believe in a contradiction. Contradictions aren't true, therefore your God doesn't exist.
My God does exist, and that's
well, you need to deal with the reductio for your view. Just get rid of the. You need to deal with the contradiction.
Horrible evidence.
So you think the contradictions can be true?
I think that it doesn't make sense for God to put a perfect.
Do you think the contradictions can be true?
Humans are imperfect. It
all
doesn't
right.
make
Well,
sense for
since
humans
you've
to
shown
live in a
that you can't engage
perfect-
in an actual conversation, we'll go ahead and move on. That wasn't actually where the argument was supposed to go, but he gave me a contradiction before I could even get to the end of the argument. If he was in 2nd grade 10 years ago, then he would have been in 12th grade this year, which means that he probably would be 18. So, anyway. All right. Well, Oana, you would have been next, but begging in the chat gets you skipped. So, you are not next now. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hello, how old are you? Hello? Fair enough.
Hi.
Joseph, how old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
Christian.
Okay. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
I would say that God created the universe.
Okay, what's the evidence that God created the universe?
I've been reading documentaries of it. They actually found evidence that God created the universe thousands of years ago. So that's what I believe in. So if you don't believe in me, I don't know.
Okay, well, I don't want you to just tell me that evidence exists. I want you to give me the evidence and tell me where I can find the evidence. So what is the evidence that God created the universe?
The evidence that God created the universe is on Google. Yes, Google.
Okay. I'll ask one more time. If you can't give me a direct answer, I'll just move on. What is the evidence that God created the universe? Nothing? Are you done even pretending to try now? Fair enough.
No, yeah, I mean...
All right. If you are in the guest queue... Oh, weird. Sometimes TikTok Studio is so weird. Yeah, I don't know, Daniel. Something weird was going on there. I think that there may have been a delay as well. Sounded like he was walking around outside. But yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Iona or Oana or whatever it is, how old are you?
Hello?
Hello, how old are you?
21.
When were you born?
2005.
All right, you sound young, but okay. What God do you believe in?
I'm Christian.
And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Well, how perfect our universe is.
What's perfect about the universe?
Well, first of all, scientifically, it's perfectly balanced. And if it wasn't perfectly balanced,
What do you mean it's perfectly balanced?
like the gravity and the laws of physics,
What in what way are they perfectly balanced?
they're incredibly exact.
You're just restating the claim again in different words.
No,
I don't
I'm
want
not.
you to
I'm
restate the
explaining.
claim. I want you to provide some reasoning for why I should agree with your characterization of
Okay,
the
I'm going to,
natural
but you're not
laws.
letting me.
No, I'm asking the question, and then
Okay,
your
so
answer isn't an
here's
answer
the
to the question.
scientifically fact. If things were even a little different, right? Like the stars or planets, people could not exist.
Yeah,
If
but
the
how does that
gravity
mean
was
it's
just
perfect? You're
perfectly-
just saying that you like the way it is. Why should I take that to
No,
be perfection?
It's perfectly aligned for
No.
humans to exist.
Yeah, no,
Scientifically.
hold on. Now you're changing. You're moving the goalpost here. First you said it's perfect simpliciter. Now you're saying it's perfect for human life. Why should I agree that being perfect for human life is also the same as being perfect simpliciter?
No, I'm saying it's perfect for humans to exist.
Okay,
Without
why
it
does that
being
matter? Why should I think
perfectly
that
like this,
matters?
Humans would not exist.
Why should I think that matters?
Okay, that matters because scientifically, it was designed, not like it did not happen from nothing.
That's the claim that you were supposed to be supporting. So now we've gone in a circle. You're supposed to be supporting that it was created.
You asked how that makes.
Okay, so here's what happened. I asked you why we should think that God exists, and you said because it's perfect, because it was created by God, it's perfect. I asked how do we know it's perfect, and you said, well, because it's perfect for human life. I said, why should we care that it's perfect for human life? And you said because science says that it's created. But that's just a big circle. We went from it's created because it's created. So what is the actual evidence that God created the universe?
The evidence is literally right. The universe is perfectly, from scientists, by the way.
Yeah, what scientists?
Perfectly balanced for human
Give me
life.
the names of the scientists.
Therefore,
Give me the names
the
of the
names
scientists.
Of the scientists.
Yeah.
I don't know the names of the scientists. I know
Okay, what's the name of the
I've
study
read-
or the peer-reviewed paper that you're referring to?
You want me to go find the whole thing?
Yeah, whatever the evidence is for your position, you claim it's something in science, so give me the science.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't have it, and now you're going to go to ChatGPT.
I have to grab it.
No, just tell me what it is. You came up here with this argument. Obviously, if this is the argument you're making, you should know what the evidence for the argument is. So just tell me the evidence.
Right now, I'm looking.
So just tell me the
evidence
evidence.
before I came up here.
So tell me the evidence.
The evidence, literally. Oh my gosh, you're not making sense here. I gave you the evidence. You want my reasoning too?
I want the evidence. I'm still waiting for it.
I gave you the evidence. That is the evidence.
I haven't heard it yet. I'm still waiting to hear the evidence.
Okay, I'm gonna say it again. The universe is perfectly.
No, you're
balanced.
telling me the name of a scientist or the name of a paper that I can look up that confirms your claim.
But this is not a paper. This is literally scientifically proven.
Yeah, where was it
Based on
scientifically
gravity.
proven? Where can I
Have you
look up?
been to physics?
Where
Like,
can I look
well,
up the confirmation that this has been scientifically proven?
Go on fucking Google.
Yeah, what am I
Look
looking
it
for
up.
on Google? I've been on Google this whole time waiting for you to tell me what to look up.
Okay, so search in scientific. Like, what do you? I don't know the fucking
Oh,
website.
scientific. Oh, okay. Well,
Okay, I don't know
I'll
the
search for the word
website.
scientific and we'll see all the evidence that comes back for your claim. Oh, weird. It just says a definition of the word scientific. I don't think that that's evidence for your claim.
so, like,
Oh, here's
you know
another
what?
dictionary definition.
gonna give you,
Oh, vocabulary.com. the definition, meaning, and synonyms. Okay, I don't think that's the evidence.
I literally
Oh,
just
here's
cited that is the
dictionary.com, Collins Dictionary,
Equality?
Scientific American. Is it Scientific American? Because just that
What is
website
that
isn't going to be
website?
evidence for your position. So it seems like actually doing the Google search that you told me to do didn't return evidence for your position.
Okay,
So I'll ask you one last time, because we've been doing this for a while now, and you still haven't been able to present anything. What is the actual evidence that supports your claim?
I gave you the evidence, dude.
Well, I
You
looked
don't
up the
know
word
because I'm
scientific and I
Now
couldn't
listen.
find it, so I guess we'll just go ahead and move on. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide rational justification to believe in a God. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's no evidence, but you got to let them at least try. I agree, 3Mew. Before I move to the next person, thank you guys for the support sincerely. Chrissy, Lem, Martin, Lone Drow, Bradley N, thank you so much. Lupine, Lem, appreciate you all. All right.
What's up? Hello.
Yeah, hi. How old are you?
I'm 18.
And what God do you believe in?
Muslim.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Okay, so evidence, you mean like the increased probability of a hypothesis being true?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Can I present the Bayesian argument? A Bayesian argument?
A Bayesian argument?
Yeah, sorry. My English is not that good.
Is it, I mean, depending on, if it's something that we can actually get through, sure.
Yeah, of course. Just like ask me any questions, etc. And I'm sorry if I have to like whisper a bit. All right. So the hypothesis is HT is gonna be, or sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. Like H_T. The Quran is a revelation.
Okay. Is
from
this
an unknown-
Morse?
No. Yes.
Yeah,
it is,
obviously.
it is.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
we've already discussed this. I mean, my position is going to be that even if you take the competing hypotheses and say like, okay, I think that this evidence supports this hypothesis over that hypothesis, that doesn't tell you which of them is, if either, is likely to be true. The only way that you find whether a hypothesis is likely to be true is by comparing it against its negation. So if you want to do like an abductive thing where you say like, okay, we have this group of hypotheses and of the 3 of them or 5 of them or 2 of them or however many you have, which one best explains the evidence? Fine, but that in and of itself doesn't tell you that that explanation is actually likely to be true. So that's why I'm saying that, you would have to compare the hypothesis against its negation, because I'm not interested in like, if your explanation has a 21% likely chance of being true and the competing explanation you're comparing it to has a 15% likely, chance of being true, well, we're still only at, 36% possibility. Like, what's the other? I want to know about the other 60+% of what the probability, what fills that probability space, right? So what I'm looking for is there something that we should have over 50% confidence in that would demonstrate that God exists?
Okay, hold on. That wasn't what we agreed on. We created on an increased probability. It doesn't have to be 50%, 60%, 30%. Right?
Sure. No, I agree that the definition of evidence is anything that increases the probability of God existing. I'm just saying that if your argument can never increase the probability above 1% or 2%, that's not really going to be get us anywhere. We need to get to 51%.
Okay, got it. So I don't know about like quantifying the exact percent, but what I can tell you is that like a valid Bayesian argument can increase the probability of the hypothesis being true, and I'm comparing it to its negation. So like you agree that the negation of like God would be like the Quran is a product of like human authorship, right?
Well, no. So there's a problem here, because what we're going to be saying is that the God or not God is the first, God simpliciter or no God is the first thing, the hurdle that you have to jump, in my opinion. Because what you're saying, if you provide evidence that just shows that the Muslim God is more likely than other gods, that's fine. It may be the case that of all the possible gods, the Muslim God is the one that's most likely to be true. But if the analysis of the probability space of God or not God shows that that God itself only has a 1% chance of being true, it doesn't really matter which God takes up the bulk of that 1% probability space, because we still don't have a reason to believe in it. So you need to provide an argument that raises the probability of God's simpliciter above 50%.
Yeah, just a quick thing there. You didn't hear my hypotheses I'm comparing it to. I never said it's compared to other religions. I said it's compared to like the idea of God not being true.
Right, but we can't just say the Islamic God versus no God, right? Where we have to start with God simpliciter, and then if you can show that God simpliciter exists, then we could look at which God exists. Does that make sense?
Sorry, I don't quite. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry, I don't quite understand the difference between that and like the Islamic God. I just like short Islam is like this can technically be applied for any like argument for God, if that makes sense. So when you say God is simpliciter, what do you mean?
Yeah, because saying the Islamic God or its negation, well, the negation of the Islamic God is just not the Islamic God. That's not atheism. That's not no God existing. Because obviously in the probability space of the negation of Islam would be Hinduism, Christianity, Buddhism, every other, Judaism, every other religion, every other spiritual belief, every other non-Islamic God belief would be involved in the probability space taken up by the negation of Islam. So what I'm saying is that doesn't really get us anywhere. What you need to do first is demonstrate that a God exists at all. Then we can talk about the evidence that should lead us to think it's one God or another.
Yeah, got it. So the answer to that would be like I'm arguing for a distinctive text, and you're saying like, for example, Christianity, Buddhism, and like Hinduism also have that, right? So I can give like a response for that on like why why, for example, Islam would be like more preferable than those. Like it's just in the specific argument I'm making.
So I feel like you're not understanding what I'm saying. You need to provide evidence that is expected under God's simpliciter. It's not expected under God's simpliciter that Muhammad would be like the true prophet, right? It's not expected under God's simpliciter that God would reveal itself to anyone. So the evidence, the thing that you're trying to present as evidence, doesn't actually raise the probability of God's simpliciter. That's what I'm asking you to do.
Yeah, got it. So I'm pretty sure the argument is structured around the existence of God, and then I just use like Islam as like a starting point, but I think it's still against like...
Yeah, I think that's backwards. Yeah, what I'm saying is that's backwards.
Okay.
We need to get to God first, because if you can say that of all the gods on offer, the Muslim God is the one that's most likely to be true, that's fine. Even if I agree with that, that doesn't mean that I have any reason to think that God exists.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm sorry for like wasting time. Then I'll come back with a better argument.
Well, I appreciate you being willing to have an honest conversation. And I also do appreciate your presence in the Discord. I think that it's fantastic that you are presenting arguments, that you're engaging with the things that people are saying to you, and that you're genuinely thinking about this stuff. And whether it results in anyone changing their position or not, I just do sincerely appreciate your presence and the way that you're engaging in the arguments that you're presenting.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you too.
All right.
I hope you have like a good rest of your life. Bye-bye.
Yeah, we'll talk later. We'll talk again. I do like him. He's fantastic. Yeah, he's 18. Okay. All right. So if you are in the guest queue, actually, before we do that, thank you so much, everybody, for the support. And then because I was just saying, talking about the Discord, I just want to, it's an 18 plus Discord. I don't think it's 21 plus. It's 18 plus. But I do have a Discord, which I do ask that you're an adult to join. You can find it tinyurl.com/OgarDebates. And then I also have a YouTube where if you guys want to go over there and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Helps me do more on YouTube if I can get to whatever it is, 1,000 subscribers. So just trying to get to that point. We're a little ways, quite a ways away, but eventually we'll get there. Speaking of which, thank you everybody for the follows and everything. We're up over 4,600 followers. That's fucking amazing. I appreciate you all so much. Sincerely, I do. Hey, Radio Spencer. Okay. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Yes, Godless Engineer, I would absolutely do that. Hit me up and I'm down. Hi Dot, how old are you?
Yes, how you doing? 22 years.
Okay, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Okay.
And what God do you believe in?
God, I am Muslim.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the best argument or
You
evidence for
say
God?
God is not real, so prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Before I prove you wrong or right, let's establish, what's your understanding of God. Let me find out. Let me give an example. For me as a Muslim, God is the creator, the protector, the sustainer, the provider, the all-knowing, all-seeing, the one who caused death, the one who caused life. So that's for me God. What's God in your understanding? Let's establish that one.
So typically is there something you could do about the background noise, please?
I'm sorry. What about now? Now it's good?
No, I just hear like a wow, wow, wow.
Yeah, I'm in car, so.
Are you driving?
Actually, no, I'm sitting in car.
Okay, there's just a lot of noise, and it's extremely distracting and hard to focus. Sorry, I'm autistic, and it's fucking with me. I apologize. I'll do my best. God is typically when I talk about God in general, I'm just talking about some kind of personal, ultimate foundation to reality. But I mean, if we're talking about a specific religion, it's going to be whatever the God of that religion is. I'm fine talking about. Otherwise, a lot of times when people come up wanting to support that God exists, even though they believe in a particular religion, they just want to talk about God simpliciter and then do it in multi-stages. So, I mean, it just depends on how granular you're looking to get.
I'm not talking about the religion. I want to understand, God. Let me understand what's your.
Just a personal, ultimate foundation to reality.
Can you say a different way? Like I understand maybe.
You
mean the creator?
Yeah, like the thing that has an independent existence upon which everything else depends, and it also has like a mind.
Okay, then I prove you wrong, and I'm gonna explain. I prove you wrong. I'm gonna explain.
Yeah, what's the argument or evidence for God?
Okay, you believe there's God, but you reject it. So I already proved you wrong.
No, I don't. I don't believe in a God. I just gave you the definition that I'm typically using for a God. So what is the argument or evidence that kind of thing exists?
No, that's it. You already agree. He's a creator. Everything.
No. No. I'm saying that's the. No, hold on. You're misunderstanding. I'm saying that's the definition. So if anything exists that fits that definition, then God exists. But I don't think that anything exists that fits that definition. Can you give me a reason to change my mind about that?
Okay, listen. Now, your stuff is a rejection. It's not like, not believing God. There's a God, but you want to reject it.
Okay, so do you have any argument or evidence or not?
I prove you. All right. Prove you wrong.
Fair enough. I thought maybe you were a serious interlocutor, but I guess I was wrong. Okay. All right. So if you are in Tiny Science, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. I already proved you wrong because you defined God. That's a new one, I'll be honest. Hi, Triad, how old are you?
35.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
My beliefs on God are pretty complex. I believe in a general divinity, but giving it one nomenclature is not generally how I like to go.
Yeah, I didn't ask for a name.
I believe in a God. I mean, like a divine constant, if it were.
Okay. Do you believe in like a mind that created and sustains the universe, the ultimate foundation to reality?
Yeah. In so many words.
And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
So with that, I would probably go with the large quantity of physical constants that if they were even just slightly off, we wouldn't be able to have this conversation right now because we wouldn't exist.
Yeah, but why does that matter? Like, I don't, as far as I can tell, unlikely things happen all the time. And so just because an unlikely thing happened doesn't mean that we should think that it was guided or intentional. What's the evidence it was intentional?
Absolutely. So with that, I mean, I understand your argument that just because, bizarre things and low probability things happen all the time. But when you have probability numbers that are to the extent...
No, it doesn't matter what the probability is. The only way that the probability matters is if you can demonstrate that there was an intention to bring about that unlikely thing. How do you demonstrate that there was an intention?
I mean, I guess with that, just the general complexity of what's being built and rendered.
No,
like,
that's just, again, saying how unlikely you think the thing is. I'm not asking how unlikely it is. I'm granting the unlikeliness. I'm asking how you demonstrated that there was an intention to bring about that unlikely state of affairs.
Well, I think if you have a probability that is so low to that extent...
Okay, we're not talking about the probability anymore, Triad. I need you to move on from the probability. We're now talking about establishing that there was an intention to bring about that improbable state of affairs. If you talk about the probability again, I'm just going to take it as a concession that you're not able to keep up with the conversation.
No, I'm able to keep up with the conversation.
Okay.
And I mean, you're going about these conversations in pretty bad faith, I have to say. But in regards to proving whether or not these things are done with intentionality, I would likely go about the results that are being rendered to the complexity that they are. So
yeah, that's not, no, because if I take, oh shit, I don't have one next to me right now. If I take a deck of cards and I do, 50, I spring them all into the air and they go flying all over and they land on the ground, the orientation that they land in, which ones are face up, which ones are face down, which ones are on top of which other ones, which ones are next to other ones, which ones are farther away from other ones, the level of complexity there is unimaginable, right? Like, it would be more likely if let's say that you and I were playing a game where we had the entire known universe at our disposal and we each wanted to pick one specific atom. Now, there's a higher likelihood that you and I, with the entire known universe at our disposal, there's a higher likelihood that you and I would pick the same single atom on a random choice than there is that the cards would fall in any given arrangement, right? So that's unbelievably, like literally inconceivably unlikely whatever arrangement they fall in. However, they have to fall in some arrangement. So no matter what arrangement they fall in, it's going to have that high of a degree of unlikelihood. So the degree of, not being likely, the degree of unlikelihood has nothing to do with whether it's intentional or not. Because when I spring those cards into the air and they fall down in that insanely, unfathomably unlikely configuration, we don't have to posit some supernatural force that made them fall in that unlikely formation unless ahead of time I specified exactly what positions they would fall in, which ones would be face up and which face down, all that stuff. If I specified ahead of time that I had an intention to spring them up into the air randomly and for them to fall the exact way they fall, that would require an explanation. The fact that they fall in an unlikely pattern does not. Okay, so that's what we're doing right now. You're saying, oh, it's an unlikely thing. I'm granting it's unlikely. The hurdle you need to jump over is showing that it was intended.
Okay, so let me take what you just said in regards to, throwing out a bunch of random cards and those cards falling in a particular way or manner. Let's say you were to do that and they were to fall in the perfect shape of a house of cards. Would you not be wondering then to yourself?
So you're not answering the question. You're not answering the question.
I guess in that instance of proving that they happened intentionally, I would do what many scientists have done that have led to the statistics that when people see them, they're like, wow.
No, we're not talking about the statistics anymore. If you mention the statistics again, I'm just going to, I said this before and I genuinely mean it. If you mention the statistics again, that just tells me that you don't understand the objection that I'm giving you, and we're not going to be able to move forward in this conversation. We're not talking about the statistics. We aren't talking about the statistics. We are no longer talking about the statistics. I don't know how else I need to say it, but we're not talking about the statistics anymore. So now what you need to do is demonstrate the intention behind it.
So to demonstrate the intention behind it, I would cite the science, and that just happens to be numbers. But
yeah, so where's the science that I can look up? What's the scientific paper I can look up that demonstrated that there was an intention behind the arrangement of the natural laws?
Okay, I will posit your same argument back to you, where the scientific papers that argue against the existence of a God in that same instance.
So you don't have any arguments for your position, you just want a burden shift.
No, I am.
Oh, okay. So you do have an argument for your position. Fantastic. We'll just forget that little burden shift thing happened, and you'll just present the evidence for your position. Go ahead.
Am I not allowed to shift the burden?
No, you're not allowed to shift the burden. You're only allowed to support your claims, or you got three options. You can support your claim, you can concede that you're not able to support your claim, or you can tuck tail and run away. And under the concession is answering the next thing you say being anything other than a presentation of the evidence that supports that there was intention behind the arrangement of the values of the physical constants. If you say literally anything other than that, then that's a concession, because we all know that that means you're not actually able to present the evidence for your position. Because if you are able to present that evidence, then you would present it.
Okay, and I find myself in the circumstance where I don't have the direct evidence for that intentionality.
All right. Well, if you ever find it, feel free to come back. Or if you have a different argument you want to discuss another time that you can support, I'd be happy to talk to you again. Take care. I mean, I respect at least, eventually agreeing that he's not able to support his position. At least there's honesty there. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. God damn, Kian, thank you so much for the galaxy. That's fucking awesome. Thank you. Sincerely. Okay. Damn, thank you so much. All right. Hi, Machiavelli. How old are you?
I am 29 years old.
And what God do you believe in?
I don't believe in a religion, but I do believe that there is a God that created the universe, or gods. It's a different debate.
Okay. But you believe that there is like a mind that created and sustains the universe?
Yes.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
I would say that the reasonable justification for it would be that everything created has something that it was created from. So a tree has a seed. We have our parents. There's always something that comes before it that created whatever is in existence.
But you're just assuming all these things were created. I think that's a loaded word. If you just mean that things that come into existence have a cause, I think that's
yes.
Okay. So if that's what you mean, sure. Then what you would need to demonstrate is that the universe came into existence.
So how the universe came into existence? I'm sorry.
You need to demonstrate that the universe came into existence, that it began to exist.
That it began to exist?
Yeah.
So you're saying either it existed entirely, infinitely, or there was a moment when it did come into existence?
Well, in order for something to come into existence, that means that there's a state of existence where it doesn't exist, and then a subsequent state of existence, either temporally or maybe ontologically or something like that, a subsequent state of existence where it does exist. So there has to be, some change from not existing to existing in order for us to consider something having come into existence, aka being created. So what is the evidence that the universe once didn't exist and then subsequently did exist?
I would say the evidence for that would be the theory on the Big Bang.
Well, so my issue there is that there was a recent survey done. It actually came out, I believe, in May of this year, where thousands of professional, physicists, cosmologists, people who work on and study these things professionally, they were asked, what is the meaning of the Big Bang? And the majority answer, about 70%, 68, as you can see by the info on the graph on the board, the response, the vast majority said that the Big Bang is a theory that says the universe evolves from a hot, dense state that says nothing about whether there was an absolute beginning of time or not. So since the current scientific understanding of the Big Bang is that it doesn't tell us whether or not the universe had a beginning, I don't think it's fair to say that we could use the Big Bang as evidence for a beginning. So that's why I'm looking for some other evidence for a beginning.
Okay. So to provide, I think personally, in my opinion, that to be able to provide even a suggestive evidence for it would be impossible for a human, because we don't have that ability of that to.
It sounds like you're just saying
in time.
It sounds like you're just saying that you can't support your argument, which, I mean, I agree with you.
Well, there's only certain things I can support it with.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying.
Right, but can you support that the universe began to exist?
how it, or that if it began to exist or if it was already here.
Yeah, can you support the claim that the universe began to exist?
No, I wouldn't be able to.
Okay. Well, your argument relies on that, so that means that you're not able to support your argument. Do you have a different argument you'd like to discuss?
I would say then that another argument would be that everything that comes into existence has a cause.
Yeah, this is the same argument. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. In order for that to be an argument that's compelling, in order for it to be reasonable to believe that argument and accept its conclusion, you would have to be able to support both premises. One of the premises is the universe began to exist. That's the thing that you just agreed you can't support currently.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So is there a different argument that you can support, or maybe you want to come back another time?
I would say also the suggestive evidence of there being morals.
Okay.
Even though that's a little bit debatable on being subjective, I would say that people who lead a good life have more of a calmer state of mind compared to somebody who does evil things. They have a very miserable mind. So it's
how does that get us to God, though?
Evidence in that it's punishment and reward.
But how does that get us to God?
Well, there's something giving punishment and a reward for the way we act.
Well, that's the claim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's the support for that claim?
I would say it's the fact that if you do good in life, then you can have a peaceful soul, a peaceful mind, a peaceful conscience. But if you do evil,
you're just, number one. I mean, I definitely have. I have been interacted with people in my life who have been terrible people, and they were extremely happy, extremely successful, and extremely calm and content. So I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't think that is the way that things play out in reality. Now, I would agree with you that people who live morally, genuinely, overall live better lives, but that's because of the specific metric that I would use to judge whether or not they've lived better lives. But I don't think that metric includes how happy a person thinks they are. So I don't see, how happy someone thinks they are as actually having a direct correlation to their moral character. And so I guess I don't see the consistency that you're trying to point to that you think suggests a God. And then the other problem is, even if that consistency did exist, because I think that there is an objective way to judge whether someone has lived a good life, or an objective way for a person to judge whether they've lived a good life. And I do think that, people who live badly wouldn't be able to accurately make that objective judgment. But I don't think that a God is involved.
I see what you're saying. So the thing with this question is it always relies on, at the end of it, a belief. At the beginning of it.
Well, belief. Do you mean morals or do you mean God?
God, right? Okay. It's hard to give evidence to this.
If what you're saying is that the only way to come to believe in God is to already believe in God, then I guess I don't really know what to do with that. Because, if you're saying the only way that you can ever be convinced of God is if you start out believing in God, I mean, then I would agree with you and say, yes, that is just because it's a delusional belief.
Well, what I'm saying is that our minds here are limited. There's only so much we can actually understand. So, for instance, right, we can say, okay, but everything has a cause and effect in this universe, right? But we don't know if in the realm or dimension that this creators live in, if they follow the same rules. We can't really give any information if there is or is not a God or gods.
Okay, so if you're agreeing that there's no evidence to believe in a God, then as far as I can tell, that means there's no reason to believe in one.
Evidence.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It sounds like what you're saying is that we can't ever actually have sufficient reason to believe. We just have to choose to believe in the absence of sufficient evidence, and I'm just not going to do that. So I'm asking. So if you're agreeing that you can't present sufficient evidence, then we'll just agree, and I'll move on.
Yeah, I would kind of say we agree that you can't really prove that there is or isn't.
Well, I don't agree with that. Certainly, we can demonstrate that there isn't a God.
Okay, so that's where we would disagree then.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's pretty obvious that there can't be a being that fits the definition of a god. Like a thing that created the universe would have to be outside of time. Like this ultimate personal foundation to reality has to be outside of time in order to be the creator. But if it's outside of time, then it can't act to bring the universe into existence. So either it was always bringing the universe into existence, which means it always existed, which means it wasn't actually created, so there isn't a creator, which means there isn't a god. Or if the creator of the universe, this god, went from not creating to a subsequent state of existence of creating, that means that being has past and future moments, which means that it's in time, which means that it didn't create time, which means that it didn't create the universe, which again means that it's not God. So whatever thing that you're pointing to here, whatever thing could exist that could like vaguely fit some of the criteria for God, can't actually be a God.
Yeah, I can see. The thing with me is I kind of have a split belief in both sides. So I have one arguing for what you believe in, and I have another one that argues for the other side.
Okay. Well, it doesn't sound like
mine goes in circles with it, but
okay. Well,
yeah, that's pretty much all I had.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the conversation. I don't think that we're making a whole lot of progress, but I
Right,
do appreciate you,
It
and I
kinda
hope
came to a wall.
fair enough. But I do appreciate you, and I hope you have a good one. Take care of yourself. Okay.
All right. You too. Bye.
Thanks. All right. And if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Oh, he does believe in both sides. That's awesome. Hi, Bush. How old are you?
How's it going? I'm 18.
Are you a helmet?
Yeah, it's just an emoji.
Yeah, I just couldn't figure out what the emoji is.
It's a soldier helmet, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry. What God do you? I'm sorry. How old are you?
I'm 18.
I'm sorry. I have a terrible memory and I got distracted, and that's my fault.
It's all good. It's all good.
What God do you believe in?
I'm a Christian.
Okay. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Well, everything. Well, obviously you've heard this a million times. Is what usually most people say, but everything created has to have a creator. And can you name me one thing in the world that wasn't created?
Oh, in the universe? Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by created.
Like, one thing, I guess you could say, like, oh, sorry, my fully modded Hellcat RT thing. All right, I'm good. So, where, before the Big Bang, like...
I'm just asking what you mean by created.
Like...
Do you mean something like intentionally brought into existence?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Well, if by created you mean intentionally brought into existence, then I would say there are lots of examples of that. The sun wasn't intentionally brought into existence. The earth, life, all specific life forms, like well, maybe not all. You could probably say that like certain domesticated animals were intentionally brought into existence, like chihuahuas or something. But I would say trees, fish, humanity. Like, none of those things were intentionally brought into existence.
Well, do you think the Big Bang just, like, happened out of nowhere?
I don't know what you mean by out of nowhere.
Like, before the Big Bang, what was there?
Well, I don't think we have any idea. I don't think we have any way of knowing.
So someone had to have created that. You can't just...
How do you know someone had to have created it?
Well, because you can't just... it can't just happen without...
Why not?
Nothing.
Nobody said that there was nothing. Do you think there was nothing?
Well, God was...
Right. Do you think there was nothing before the Big Bang, or did at least God exist?
God's always exists.
Okay, so at least God existed before the Big Bang in your view. And in my view, I have no idea if anything existed before the Big Bang. And if it didn't, then that just means that it's because we live in a block universe, and that before the Big Bang means a time outside of time, which is a nonsensical, contradictory concept. So it doesn't really mean anything. So I don't really know what it means to say something existing like if the Big Bang is the beginning of time, then it's meaningless to talk about what existed before that, because before is a time word. And if the Big Bang isn't the beginning of time, then obviously the universe just probably existed infinitely into the past, or there was some other first moment of time, which again, we wouldn't be able to say what was before that, because before would be meaningless again. But I'm just not seeing any reason to think that there was an intention or that it was ever brought into existence.
All right. Man, I just love Roddy Mayo.
Okay. Well, I don't know what that was. Fun to get the same argument back to back, though, right? If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. I'm trying to remember. Oh, there we go. Oh, fair enough. Okay. Hi, MA. How old are you?
I'm 38.
Okay. And what God do you believe
in? Not necessarily religions. I just have an argument.
I didn't say anything about religion. I just want to know what version of God you believe in. Like, do you at least believe in like a mind that created and sustains the universe?
Yeah, all-knowing, all-powerful.
Okay.
And my argument is, which is in favor of God existence, it's like if I told you that each $100 bill, okay, is printed and audited and is the same as the other bills from itself or by coincidence, are you gonna believe this?
I have no idea what you're saying. Something about $100 bills, something about something being the same. I don't know what you're...
Yeah. I mean, you know that the $100 bill is identical to all of the bills, of the $100 bills on the world, yes?
No.
Why? I mean...
Well, they're all different. They're all different from each other.
I mean, the blue one, the blue ones, yes?
No, they're all different from each other.
But they're like identical in some properties.
Oh, I mean, they share some properties, but I don't think there's anything that exists that doesn't share some properties with something else. So that's not... So are you just saying that there are things that exist that share properties with other things that exist?
No, I'm saying we, the human beings, everyone that is born, okay, he or she has legs, has head, has... everyone pass with the same... Excuse me for my English. Pass with the same phases.
No.
And
no, that's not true.
I mean, like,
that's not true. I have a really good friend who was born without one of her hands. She only has one hand.
But even when factories like Mercedes...
Okay, so you're just going to blow right past that, even though it completely destroys what you're saying?
Excuse me, can you repeat that again?
Yeah, you're saying that all humans are born identically, but I'm telling you that I have a friend who was born without a left hand.
I meant they share this a lot of things, like, okay, and you
okay, that's fine, but we expect under non-God worldview, because of evolution, we expect people to share a lot of properties. We expect our DNA to be similar. We expect to have roughly the same, what's the word I'm looking for? Body plans as other humans. Like, that's exactly expected without a God. So certainly we don't need to appeal to a God to explain this when we can explain it without one. So this is not going to get us to God. What is some kind of argument or evidence that would get us to God?
I disagree with you, because even just having, you said that you have a friend or someone who was born without, you said something. I mean, yes, and even if you go to Mercedes production line, or you will find normal
Okay,
defects.
I just want you to get me to God, please. We're way off topic right now. I have no idea how we're getting to God. I just want you to give some argument that gets us to God.
Okay, I'm just telling you. Just let me complete my idea.
Okay, I need you to condense it down and get me to God within the next like 30 seconds.
Okay, and when you see that we are the creators. Okay, we share a lot of things. Okay, so you know there is a creator.
No, I don't.
In the same
What is the
way,
evidence
you
for a
see
creator?
this.
You're just asserting it. What's the evidence?
Yes, I'm telling you.
No,
When
you're
you
just
see when you see the $100 bills all share a lot of things, you know that there is a manager and there is one who is manufacturing
No,
these bills.
no, I already explained to you. Evolution perfectly describes and explains why so many life forms are so similar to each other. But this isn't a mystery. We don't need to appeal to a god to
From
explain it.
nothing,
We know.
you're saying that-
No, I didn't say anything about anything from nothing. I don't know why you feel like you have to straw man me. What I'm saying is that we can perfectly explain all of this without appealing to a god. If we can fully explain this without having to appeal to a god, then that means that adding a god to the explanation is unnecessary. What is the reason why we would need to add a god to the explanation?
I told you, because the system, there is like a system, okay? The very complicated system that every human being has and not only human beings, you have
Okay, so are you actually going to get there? Because all you're not actually saying anything, MA. So I'm going to give you one more opportunity. I need you to actually give me a concise, direct argument that provides a reason to believe in a god.
Can I ask you a question?
Okay.
Okay, so every one of us has parents, yes?
That's your question?
Yeah, the first human beings who existed, I mean, how did they come to Earth or something? And not only human beings, any creature like
this is all explained by abiogenesis and evolution. There's no mystery there. We don't need to appeal to a god. So one more time, do you have anything that would give us a reason to believe in a god?
Okay, evolution comes from something, or there is at least a base.
Yeah, that's abiogenesis. Yep, when we know how that
so
happens.
You say, where is the base comes from?
Yeah, abiogenesis. It's chemistry. I already explained this.
So you are saying that all of these complications and
it's all
things
chemistry
came out of nothing and chemistry.
When did I say it came out of nothing?
I mean,
when did I say it came out of nothing?
No God.
When did I say it came out of nothing?
You said there is
when did I
God,
say it came out of nothing?
What do you mean by
when did I say it came out of nothing?
Okay, I heard you.
When did I say it came out of nothing?
Okay, you said there is no God and there is.
When did I say it came out of nothing?
I'm telling you.
I'm only going to ask this question one more time, and if you can't either tell me when I said it or retract the claim, I'm going to move on. When did I say that it came out of nothing?
Okay, this is what I understood from your statement. That
so clearly we're not making any progress there. All right, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a god. Hi, Samuel. How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 18.
And what god do you believe in?
I mean, we could discuss God's simplicity.
Okay, and what do you mean by that?
Or rather, a life-permitting God.
And what do you mean by God?
I just said that something, a creator of the universe, I guess, that permits life.
Okay, so like a mind that creates and sustains everything else that exists?
Intelligent, yeah.
Okay, and what's the best argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in such a being?
I mean, we could go off of Bayesian reasoning, and then we could use an abductive hypothesis, comparing it to the naturalist hypothesis, in which...
Well, how do you know if you're doing abduction, how do you know that you've considered all the candidate explanations?
I mean, the only candidate explanations are that either an intelligent main exists or an intelligent main does not exist.
Intelligent what?
An intelligent main that created the universe exists or it does not
exist. A man? You think God is a
main?
Oh, mind?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure. So wait, you're going to argue an abductive case in like a conjunctive, like A or not A?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the argument?
I mean, it's coming off the data set it's taking several different datums.
Yeah, no, I don't want you to I don't want you to, talk about meta about the argument. I want you to just give the argument.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying.
No, stop. Do not tell me taking this, taking that. Just give the argument.
The argument is based off of abductive reasoning. We're saying that.
So I'm gonna give one more opportunity. You can actually present the argument, or I'm just gonna move on.
What do you want me to present? I'm telling you the argument right now.
No, you're talking about we take data and all this. I don't want you to talk about taking data. I want you to just give the argument.
The argument is abductive. We're comparing hypotheses for how they support this evidence. I'm telling you the evidence that's being compared by.
I still haven't heard any evidence.
Hypothesis. That's what I was trying to give you the
I
evidence.
still have not heard any evidence.
I was trying to give you the evidence.
Well, every time you say I'm trying to give you the evidence is not presenting evidence. I still haven't heard any evidence.
So we're going off psychophysical harmony between humans and.
Okay, so the actual argument is psychophysical harmony.
No, I'm telling you, we're taking a whole data set of different evidence.
Okay, well, we can only talk about one argument at a time. If you're trying to say that, if you're trying to say that there are a bunch of different arguments that all work together to provide a cumulative case, fine, but we can only talk about one argument at a time.
Okay, we can go for nomological harmony. We can say that the constants within the universe that are life permitting are much more expected under the hypothesis that a God exists rather than naturalist hypothesis.
And that's just the claim. What's the argument?
The argument for fine tuning? Do you want me to give you a reasoning for why fine tuning exists?
Okay. So I'm going to ask you one more time. I don't want the questions. I don't want the meta. I don't want talking about the arguments. I just want you to present the goddamn argument. What is the argument?
I've given you the argument already. I'm saying
all I've heard is you state the claim, and if that's the best that you've got, then I think it's time to move on. Just asserting a claim is not the same as providing an argument. I'm sorry, those are different things. Okay. So, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18. Holy shit. Whoa. I was not prepared for that. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Oh, you're 100% right, Chester. Yes. I am skipping you because I just talked to you yesterday and you wouldn't even tell me what God you believed in. So... All right. So yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're an adult and you actually have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Hi, Aljo.
Oh, what's up, man? I didn't realize that.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
Well, I guess Christianity, I guess. But
okay, and what's the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
Let me get my notes out. So, it's like all about that fine tuning or whatever, but I actually did a little bit of research. It has nothing to do with the sun or whatever, or gravity. I mean, a little bit, but it's mostly about electrons and stuff like that. Like their mass and stuff. So if they were like a fraction different from just like a fraction different, fuck, bro.
It sounds like you're saying if things were different, then they'd be different. And I agree that if things were different, they'd be different.
Oh, yeah.
Why would that give us a reason to believe in a God?
Wait, I'm getting there, bro. I actually kind of forgot now. I was playing Roblox.
Okay. Well, if you can't present the argument, then I'm just going to move on.
No, I can.
Oh, I don't hear an argument.
Nah, I forgot.
All right. Well, have a good one.
It took too long, bro.
Yeah, it took too long. I guess it's my fault that he couldn't give an argument. This is not going to go well. How old are you, Chester?
Hey, Ogre, I'm 45.
What God do you believe in?
I serve Yahweh.
Okay. So we did this yesterday. I'm not doing it again.
Yep.
I'm going to ask you one more time. If you don't give me an unambiguous, direct answer, I'm just moving on. So what God do you believe in?
I just said Yahweh, the Christian God.
Now you finally said it. You know that multiple religions say that they believe in Yahweh, right? You cannot be dumb enough to think that that is a direct, unambiguous answer. So, okay, you finally admitted that you're Christian. I mean, to be fair, I would be embarrassed to be a Christian as well, so I get why you were, hesitant to admit it, because, yeah, that is pretty, fucking cringe. But what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in a God?
Well, I guess to get there, I'd like to understand your statement and what is your definition of God is, and God isn't real.
Yeah, typically I'm just talking
definition of God.
Yeah, I would just be talking about like a personal ultimate foundation to reality, like a thing with the mind that has an independent existence upon which everything else relies for its existence.
Well, then it should say gods aren't real, right? Because
I'm not here to do tone policing. If you want to run your own live with a different prompt, be my guest. Do you have an argument or evidence?
Yeah. Yes, I do. And it's not going to go your way, so don't click me off. Let's say, just for your argument, I believe in Lighter, the god Lighter. It's right here in my hands.
Okay, well, I already told you what I'm defining as a god. If you just want to play word games, then you can play word games somewhere else. We already agreed on the definition for a god, so what is the argument or evidence that something that fits that definition actually exists?
So, based on my belief, my God, you asked me who do I serve, right? God is love. Do you believe in love?
I do believe in love, but I don't believe that it has anything to do with a god or that any gods exist. So for the last time, what would be the best argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in a god that is a mind that created and sustains everything else that exists?
So based on we have to go based off your ignorance? You can't hear anything different?
So do you want to present any argument or evidence, or no? You just want to play word games?
I'm trying, but you're not. I'm trying.
Well, I'm not going to allow word games. We talked about what it means to say God. So we already know what God means. Do you have any argument or evidence for that thing, or do you just want to play word games?
Like I said, God is love, right? So
okay, so just word games. Fair enough. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a god. Hey! Shave off my mustache and you give me a mustache back. Thank you. All right. Hi, Lynn. How old are you?
19.
And what god do you believe in?
I'm Christian.
Okay, and what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a god?
Well, I kind of wanted to start off with, like, why do you think God is not real? Like, why do you think that? What is your reasoning?
Yeah, well, I mean, number one, I think that the negative position is obviously, like, if you don't want to take a positive position on it, then the negative position is really easy because no one has ever provided justification to believe in a god. So I think that the default position that we should all have is just that, it's not non-belief, either way, like agnosticism. But I think that is a good case to be made that no gods exist. You said you're Christian, so you agree that God is like all good, all knowing, all powerful?
Yeah.
Okay. So if God's all knowing, that means that obviously he has a mind. Minds only have can only have either one unchanging mental state or a series of changing mental states. Because God is the creator of the universe, that means he's outside the universe, which means he's outside time. But since change only happens inside time, nothing internal to God can change. What that means is that his mind can't change, so he only has one unchanging mental state. The problem is the fact that acting on your will requires a change in mental states. You have to go from I intend to do X to I have done X. Because God's mental state can't change, he can't act on his will. If he can't act on his will, he can't create the universe. However, if God exists, then he did create the universe. Therefore, by the power of modus tollens, God does not exist.
So, because of time and reality.
Yeah, it's a logical impossibility for God to exist.
How is it impossible?
The argument I just gave.
Because of reality?
Because it's logically impossible. It entails a contradiction. You have to say that God created the universe and God did not create the universe. If the only way to define a thing is with a contradiction, then you know that thing doesn't exist. Its existence entails its non-existence, which means that it doesn't exist.
Okay, so how do you think the universe got here?
Okay, so you agree that God doesn't exist?
No, I agree he does. I'm saying.
Okay, so then what's your response to the argument?
That's what I'm getting to.
Okay, so then you don't have to ask me questions. You can just respond to the argument.
That just it doesn't make sense that God can't logically exist because of.
Well, I just explained it. Do you need me to explain it again? Do you need me to go slower? Do you need me to write it down for you?
Explain it again.
Okay, so because we know God has knowledge, that means that God has a mind. Knowledge is a mental state, so that means God has a mental state, at least one mental state, which means he has a mind. But minds can either have one unchanging eternal mental state, or like that only one mental state for the entirety of their existence, or it's possible for minds like our minds to have a series of changing mental states. There are different possible kinds of minds. Since those are the different possible kinds of minds, well, let's think about which kind of mind God would have. Since we know God, if he exists, is the creator of the universe, that means God must be outside the universe because a thing cannot create the container in which it exists, upon which it depends for its existence. So God must be outside and independent of the universe. But since time is a feature of the universe, that means God's also outside of time. Now, change only happens inside of time, right? A change is going from a past moment to a present moment, or a present moment to a future moment, but that's all time. That's all temporal. So if God's outside of time, that means that God cannot change in any internal way. But God's mind is internal to God, so that means that because we said the only kind of minds that can exist are ones with unchanging mental states or ones with changing mental states, God must have the kind of mind that has an unchanging mental state. The problem with that is that God must act on his will in order to create the universe, but acting on your will requires your mental states to change. You have to go from intending to do something, and that's a mental state, intentional mental state about doing a thing, and then after doing it, or while you're doing it, you would change to the mental state of I am doing the thing I intended to do, and then when you're done doing it, your mental state changes to I have done the thing I intended to do. What that means is that God cannot act upon his will. It's a capacity that it's logically impossible for him to act on his will. But because creation is an act of will, God cannot create the universe. However, as we said before, if God exists, he did create the universe. Therefore, God does not exist.
Okay, but that makes no sense how he can only have one mind state.
Why? What's wrong with that?
I'm saying that doesn't make sense how he could only have one mind
Yeah,
state.
what's the thing about it that doesn't make sense?
How would he only have one mind state?
Can you tell me what my explanation was for that? Because I've explained it to you multiple times now.
Time?
Yeah, God is outside time. Change only happens inside time.
Okay, how is God outside of time?
Did God create time?
I don't know.
Well, we said before that God is the ultimate foundation of reality, right?
Yeah.
Everything else that exists relies on God for its existence, right?
I guess.
Do you think that maybe God isn't ultimate?
I mean, God is definitely real, but the statement that you're saying just because
I'm asking you a yes or no question. Is God ultimate? In the sense that everything else that exists relies on God for its existence.
I don't know about relies on it, but he created, yes.
Okay, so he created everything other than himself, right?
But the thing is, God
Did
doesn't-
God create everything other than himself?
No.
Oh, so there are things that exist that God did not create.
Yes.
Okay, what are the things that exist that God did not create other than God?
There's things humans invented.
Okay. So did God create time?
Well, time's kind of always been around.
Okay, so God did not create time.
I don't know.
See, you see how did God create the universe? Let's ask that one.
Yes.
Okay. And you know that time is a feature of the universe, right?
Okay, so in that, then yes.
Okay, so God created time, right?
Well, the thing is
So I need you to not run away from this. We're going to
I'm
stay
not. I'm
linear. Did God create time?
Okay, but I have an argument to that.
No, we're not. You got to answer the question first. You said God created the universe, and we know that time is a feature of the universe. So did God create time?
But I have an argument. Can you
Did
hear my
God
argument?
create time? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So God created time, which means that God does not exist in time, right?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. And change only happens in time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So God is not in time. Change only happens in time. So that means that change doesn't happen in the state of existence where God exists. So that means nothing internal to God can change. Well, God's mind is internal to God. So that means that his mental states cannot change. He can't go from one mental state to a subsequent mental state. So since he can only ever have one unchanging mental state, he can't act on his will, which means he can't create, which means that he didn't create the universe. But as we've agreed multiple times now, if he exists, he did create the universe. That means he doesn't exist. Do you have any substantive response?
Okay, but God is not a human being. God does not have a beginning, middle,
Okay.
or an end.
All right, fair enough. I don't know. I thought it was pretty clear that there was nothing there. All right. How's it going, everybody? How is it going? Oh, it's been rough. That's not time being different on Mars than it is on Earth. That's just the rotation is different. Okay. If you are in the guest queue, or if you're thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide rational justification to believe in a God. I'm Magi.
Hello?
How old are you?
Yes, I'm 32. Can you hear me good?
Yeah. Can you do anything about the background noise?
Let me see.
It's a lot
if
of
I-
crackling. Oh, it sounds like it's done now. I'm sorry. How would you say you are? I got distracted.
32.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
The God of Christ.
Okay. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
Do you believe that Jesus was on earth?
I mean, I don't. I'd be fine granting it for the sake of conversation, though, because I also don't take a strong position that he didn't exist.
Okay, so obviously we know he was on earth, right? Historically, he's proven that
I don't know
he
that,
was-
no.
Historically, it's proven that he was on earth.
Whatever.
Historically.
Look, I'll grant
Right?
it.
Yes or no?
Well, no, it's not been proven, but I'll grant it.
It hasn't
Where do we
been
go from there?
proven?
No, it hasn't. Where do
Are
we go
you
from
sure it hasn't been proven? You can go on
Yes.
Google search and actually look into that and find out that he
Yep.
was on Earth.
Well, unfortunately
Right.
for you, I have looked into it, and because the reason that I don't think that we have reason to believe he existed is because I've looked into it, right? That I didn't come to that conclusion because that's just what I want to be true. I came to that conclusion because that's what the evidence is. Like, we just don't have sufficient evidence to think that he existed. Now, I've said multiple times, I'm willing to just grant it for the sake of conversation. Where do we go from Jesus existing?
So Jesus existed because a lot of scholars actually have talked about it.
Okay, I'm granting that Jesus existed. Where do we go from there?
What did he come and teach?
We have no idea.
You don't know?
No, nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
No.
Because it's like a big movement.
No one knows anything. If he actually existed, no one knows anything he actually said, because the things that he supposedly said were written down several decades after he supposedly died. I assume that you went to, like, did you go to college?
No, I didn't.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't mean that as an insult. I haven't gone to college.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
Did you go to high school?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have a favorite teacher in high school? Or maybe one that you hated the least?
Yeah, I could say I did.
Okay. Can you tell me one of the lectures that teacher gave, or like one of the, just like pick any random day from the class with that teacher, your favorite lesson or your favorite thing that they taught, and can you repeat back to me how they taught that thing, word for word?
Well, to be honest,
Is that something you can do?
sometimes when you
Is that something that you can do?
I could not because
Okay. Yeah,
obviously
no, I
was
wouldn't expect you
young.
to be able to. So now here's my question. The sentence that I'm saying right now, when I'm done speaking, can you repeat the sentence back to me word for word?
You said the sentence that I'm saying right now. When I'm done speaking, can you repeat this sentence word by word, something like that?
That was really close, but it was not word for word. So do you
But
see
that
do you
doesn't
see how
matter.
difficult it is when even when it's literally the sentence directly before you start speaking,
Right.
you can't remember it word for word. And as we saw, you aren't able to remember word for word a lesson from your favorite teacher from high school. So why should we think that things that Jesus supposedly said that weren't written down for literal decades after he was born or after he died, why should we think that we actually know that those were things that he said?
Well, because when I was in high school, I wasn't really interested in school, but the people that actually got to learn when they saw Jesus in person
Magi,
were
this isn't an
interested.
answer to my question. When I said a sentence to you, and literally the next thing that you said was to repeat the sentence back to me, you still didn't get it word for word. Do you want to try that sentence
But
again?
it was close. It
Do
was
do you
close
want to
to
try
it
that
though,
sentence
right?
again? Yeah,
Was
give
it
it to me
close to
again.
that? Did it mean the same thing though?
Give it to
When I
me
repeated
again.
your sentence, did it
Yeah.
mean the same thing? Yes
Re-
or no?
repeat it
It's
to
the
me
same
again.
with what God taught.
Yeah,
Even
repeat
though
the
people
sentence
are
that I
saying
said
it
again.
in different ways, it
Repeat the
still means
sentence
the
again.
same thing.
Repeat the sentence to me.
Repeat the sentence. You said, I'm gonna say something and I want you to say it word to word.
Yeah.
Even if it's not the same thing, it still means the same thing. But
It doesn't
the
though.
words that
Yeah, but
even
you're changing it. Like, look, we've only been talking for less than 5 minutes, and in less than
wait.
5 minutes.
I'm a mom.
Okay,
I
hold
have
on. Hold
a
on.
very, very
Calm down.
foggy
Calm,
brain, okay? Let me
calm
tell you.
down. What's happening here is a demonstration that this kind of memory just doesn't exist. It's not reliable. And even if there was one person who listened to everything Jesus ever said and had a photographic memory or an eidetic memory where they were able to remember word for word everything he said, well, that person wouldn't have still been alive by the time they were writing things down. And there's no reason for us to expect that they would have been able to pass that word for word knowledge on to to enough other people for it to have been written down word for word. Also, we have in the texts that, the old manuscripts of the Bible, of the Gospels that supposedly record what Jesus said, we have examples of how over the centuries, those manuscripts changed. The things that Jesus supposedly said in the Bible changed.
Right.
Stuff was taken out
You know what
and
the
stuff was
difference-
added.
Mhm.
So the problem here is that we
Okay.
don't
Can
actually
I ask
have
you something?
the problem we
Do
hear
you
is
know
that we
what
don't
the
actually have
difference-
any reason to
Mhm.
think that the things that are accredited to Jesus in the Bible were actually said by him. Can you give me any evidence for why we should trust the things the Bible claims Jesus said?
Okay, so the difference between me right now and then the people that heard Jesus is that it was a multitude of people. So
Yeah,
that
and how
means
do we
that
confirm
they
that?
were able
And how do we confirm
to
that they
witness.
how do we confirm that they accurately passed
It's
along
just
what he said
it's
for
just me
decades until it
against
was written
you
down?
right here.
Yeah, how do
So
we confirm?
we confirmed that it was written because it's historically proven. And because it's historically proven, it means that
How is it
there's
historically
truth to
proven
it.
that the
It's like,
hold on. What I'm asking is, how was it historically proven that the words attributed to Jesus in the Bible are actually what he said?
because there's history about it.
Yeah,
That
what's the
he
history about it?
came and
That's what I'm
taught.
asking
He came
for.
and taught a movement. He
Yes.
came and taught the kingdom
Yes,
of
what is
God.
what is the
So
evidence? What is the
why
historical
would
evidence that
Jesus?
we accurately know what he said?
Because it's still to this day
No,
the
what's the
words
evidence
that
that
he
we know
taught.
that his words in the Bible are accurate?
The people, the evidence is
Which
the people that
people?
talk about it to this
Which
day.
people?
The people that believe in him.
Okay, so
That's the
so
people.
if
That's
someone
the
believes
evidence.
something, that makes it true?
Because it's so
So you're
strongly
saying that people
founded.
believing something makes it true?
Yes, because it's come a
Okay,
long
so the
way.
fact that
It's like when you
there are
believed in.
let's actually
Mhm.
look this up really quickly. How many Muslims are there in the world? Well, there are an estimated 2 billion Muslims in the world. That's 2 billion with a B, people who believe that
Yeah.
Islam is the true religion. So since 2 billion people believe in it, does that mean that Islam is true?
No, look.
Oh,
Before
so
I jump
now what you're
into
saying is that
another
it isn't
conversation.
just the
No,
fact
wait.
that a lot of
My
people believe in it.
argument wasn't even. That was not my argument.
Yes, it
You're trying to
was.
switch up my argument.
No, that
Look,
was
my argument is
your argument was that
that
since people
Jesus.
believe it, it's true.
No, Jesus walked on this earth. That's my argument. My
I
argument
mean,
is
that's a
Jesus
claim.
walked on this earth.
Yeah, and
And
even
it
if I
is
grant
true.
you,
It's
and
a
even if
claim.
I grant you that he really
Because if
existed,
you
you don't know
know, if
anything he
you
said.
look it up, did Jesus walk on earth?
What's
Look
the
it up.
evidence that we accurately know anything that he said? Literally, even one quote.
Because people were there to witness it, and they're the witness. It's like when you go to a trial and you
All
hear
right.
a judge.
Well, it's pretty
Right?
obvious that we're not getting anywhere. I appreciate you for coming up, and I hope you have a good one. Obviously not making any progress there. All right. If you are in the oh, that's right, Meatball. He didn't walk on Earth. He walked on water. He was way too cool for walking on Earth like a regular guy. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Tic Tac Shop. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
And what would you say is the best argument or evidence for God?
The best argument or evidence for God, I would say, is objective morality.
Okay, so you're saying, like, if objective morals exist, then God exists. Objective morals exist, therefore God exists?
Well, so can I ask you a question?
I'm just
To
confirming if
answer
that...
that?
Is that the argument you're giving?
So do you think that the torture of an innocent child for fun is actually wrong, or is it just
Okay, so do you want to answer the question or not?
wrong?
Okay, so
Well,
I
can
don't
you
want
answer
to...
that question? It's an answer to your question.
No, it's not an answer
Is
to
it
my
actually
question.
wrong, or is it?
That's not an
Is it
answer to my
actually
question.
wrong, or
So
is
what
it
was
just
the
your
question that I
opinion
asked
it's
you?
wrong?
What was the question I asked you that you think you're answering?
Could you answer that question? Is it actually wrong?
Yeah, so I know that you want to
is it
ask
just
this
your
question
opinion?
to derail the conversation, but you're just
No,
trying to
that's
get out of the question that I asked you. So what was the question that I asked you?
Repeat it.
Yeah. So you said you're arguing for God from morals, so I'm just confirming that the argument you're giving is something along the lines, if objective morals exist, then God exists. Objective morals exist, therefore God exists. Is that the argument you're giving?
No, that's putting words in my mouth. That's not what I said at all.
Okay, so what is the argument for God?
That's my question to you right
No,
there.
we're not doing questions. We're asking, what's the argument for God?
Why did you just ask me a question? Is that a little
Yeah,
hypocritical or
my
not?
question was to check if I was understanding your argument. You said I'm not, so now I need you to clarify so that I do understand your
I'm giving
argument.
you my argument. And
Yep,
I
the
would like
argument
you
is
to
not in the
answer
form. No,
question.
the arguments do not come in the form of questions. So you can either give an argument
Because
or I'll
you
move
don't
on.
want to answer that question. So do you?
I believe in objective morals, my guy. I believe in objective morals.
So what? Okay, that's perfect.
So yeah,
we
of course
agree.
I think that torturing people is wrong. So now, what is your argument for God?
So we agree.
What's your argument for God?
Curious what you were coming
I don't
from
give a
if
fuck.
you were-
What's okay? I'm asking one last time. What's the argument for God? If you cannot answer with the argument, then I'm moving on.
So you agree that morals are objective? Is that your stance on morality? That there is at least one objective moral?
Still waiting for the
Yes,
argument.
no?
If the next thing you say is anything other than the argument for God, then I'm just dropping you.
Okay, well, I would say as an atheist, you cannot have objective morals rooted in anything.
Okay, well, that wasn't an argument for God, so now I'm dropping you, like I said I would. Yeah, obviously, he was giving the moral argument. If objective morals exist, then God exists. Objective morals exist, therefore God exists. That was the argument that he was giving. I don't know why he pretended it wasn't. And then we just throw the dilemma at you, because there's no way to support the second premise. There's just no way to do it. You can't support the premise that objective morals exist. You can't support that premise without ruining the argument. Unfortunately, Astronova, that's exactly correct. Well, I totally agree with that, Shark. I'm so shocked that we're over 4,600 followers. That's fucking amazing. Thank you so much. I've had more YouTube viewers tonight than I ever had before, which isn't saying a whole lot, but it's true. It's objective that it was astrology's BS. Yeah. Well, hey, thanks, Brian. Also, thank you everybody for the support. Damn. Holy shit, I must have been ignoring it for a while. Thank you to Jason, Lupine, Emily Coy. Thank you, is that Redheaded Stepchild? That's funny. Thank you. KTM, good to see you here. Thank you. Emily Coy, Jason, Isser Lee, Poopman Jones, thank you so much. Lupine, Alan Gibson, Lem, KC. Oh yeah, that Mike Champ thing. That thing fucking shocked me. Oren, thank you so much. Poopman Jones, I love you. Lem, thank you so much. Drew, Mikey, Lupine, La Paquette, Orlando E, Lupine, Tic Tac Shop. Hey, I mean, thanks for sending roses. What are we doing here? We're gonna do one of those and one of these. Okay. Yeah, is that JC Clips like yapping in the chat? Like you were in the guest queue. I would say my objective morality is grounded in logic and agency. Moral argument, but not the moral argument. Well, I think morality is grounded in reflective agency. Moral patienthood is grounded in agency itself, and moral responsibility, moral agency is grounded in reflective agency. I still like the Gaworthian argument too. That one's solid. But I do have an argument that because I think the Gaworthian argument that allegedly Ian runs is going to get you to something like moral patienthood for all agents. But then there's another argument that I think that can get you to moral responsibility as a reflective agent. So ethical rationalism. What do I want to say about ethical rationalism? So I'm reading this Christine Korsgaard book. I just got, it's like The Sources of Normativity. It's like a bunch of, well, no, secular morality isn't necessarily based in humanism. I would say it's the opposite. Humanism is based in secular morality. Okay, so Korsgaard, there's this book, The Sources of Normativity, and it's like a bunch of lectures, but you know, it's a book, so you're reading it, but it's like a bunch of lectures, right? And so the first 4 lectures are all Korsgaard, and then I don't remember how many. There's like 3 or 4 lectures from other people, and then a final lecture where Korsgaard responds to the other lectures from the other philosophers. I've gotten through the first 4 lectures by Christine Korsgaard, and I'm in the middle of the first lecture by another philosopher. Or I've started the 5th lecture, which is, like I said, by another person. So the argument that Korsgaard lays out is essentially that so it's actually spelled here. I'll throw it in the TikTok chat here. Christine Korsgaard, The Sources of Normativity. That's the book that I'm talking about. So her argument is something like, and I may butcher this, so I apologize, but my understanding of her argument is essentially what she's saying is that, like, as reflective agents, we have impulses like, you know, like desires or things like that can give us, you know, apparent reasons to act. And then it's our reflective agency that allows us to think about those reasons for actions and decide, all things considered, what we should do. And one of the things that she points out is like how much people are willing to give up for what they think is moral. Like, think of all the people who risked their lives during the Holocaust to protect their Jewish neighbors, right? Literally, people risked their lives. And why was it so important to people to risk their lives? Well, the reason that Korsgaard argues is that it was because to do the unmoral thing, or the immoral thing, I don't know why I say unmoral, to do the immoral thing is would be an attack on our identity, right? So the idea is that the reason people are willing to give up their lives for a moral imperative that they believe in is because to not do the thing that they think is moral would feel like a death to them. Like, they wouldn't be themselves anymore. You know, like, people say stuff like, well, I couldn't live with myself if I did that, or I couldn't live with myself if I didn't do that, right? Like, that's how I would feel, right? If I was in, like, you know, Holocaust times and I had Jewish neighbors or Jewish people who wanted help, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't help them, if I didn't put my life on the line, put myself on the line to help them. So now that is what's called a hypothetical imperative, right? So the idea there, this is our idea from Kant. So the hypothetical imperative is, I have a goal, and here are the things I need to do to achieve that goal, right? So our rational agency allows us to reflect on our reasons, right? And then say, because of what Korsgaard calls practical identity, like, we all have, like, I have the practical identity of being like an employee of my job. And there are certain things where, like, maybe I wake up in the morning and I have the desire not to go to work, but because I have chosen to buy into the practical identity that I'm an employee of my employer, I have, all things considered, I ought go to work. I have decided I ought go to work, all things considered, right? But we could also say, what's the reason fundamental to that, right? Because we don't want to talk about, if we're talking about like moral realism, we want to talk about reasons we all have to act, not just hypothetical imperatives where, like, because I have a goal, I have a reason to act. Well, what would be underneath all of those practical identities of things like, you know, maybe you're a husband, or you're a wife, or you're a mother, or you're a cousin, or some of those practical identities are going to give you reasons to do things. And so those practical identities for you are normative. Korsgaard's argument is that there's an underlying human identity that we all have that is the foundation of our ability to reason and to create normativity for ourselves. And so what she's saying is that in order for us to think that it's worth our time to reflect on our reasons to do things and decide, all things considered, what we ought do, that means that we are valuing our own humanity and our own reflective agency and saying, yes, I agree that my reflective agency is enough to give me reasons to act, to determine, all things considered, what I ought do. And so if we commit ourselves to that position, that our humanity and our rational agency itself is valuable enough to take normative direction from, then she's saying that is like a categorical imperative, right? Because there's literally nothing you can do to stop being yourself, to stop being human. So that is something that no matter what your goals are, no matter what you want to do, no matter your hypothetical imperatives, we all have this categorical imperative that comes from our identity as human rational agents. So now I don't know if I've done a very good job explaining that, but that's kind of the thrust of the argument. And then what I would say is that the goal of rational agents is eudaimonia, and the thing that allows us to achieve eudaimonia is being virtuous. But that is kind of like the idea that Korsgaard is working with. But where are we at? Okay. So I don't currently have anybody requesting. I know I just did a bunch of yapping. I thought it was fun. I like talking about this stuff. However, viewership is dropping rapidly. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and reset and try to get some new folks in here and try to see if we can actually have some more debates. Thank you so much for the support, Lem. Thank you. But yeah, I'm going to reset the TikTok live. I will be back shortly here. Give me just a moment. It's just me and you now, YouTube. And now there are actually people on YouTube for me to say that to. Oh, I should shut this off and then do one of those and then start it up again. And then we go live again. Our time was short, YouTube, but I enjoyed it. Is it not going to work? Oh, TikTok. Oh, TikTok. Okay, now we go live. Yeah, Christine Korsgaard is awesome. I've heard a lot of people say that she's kind of like one of the preeminent ethicists alive. Or actually, is she still alive? She is, right? I mean, she's not that old. Yeah, she's in her 70s, but she is still alive. But yeah, so I read that book, and then I'm reading a bunch of other stuff too. About ethical rationalism, and then I also found another book that, according to someone that I trust and knows a lot more about philosophy than me, there is a book that may help me kind of get over my issues that I'm having with ethical naturalism. And so it's entirely possible that I'll end up back on that view. I don't know. I think rationalism is fairly solid. I don't know if I'm like 100% on board with Korsgaard's position exactly, but I think that she makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways. But anyway, yeah, hopefully we get some folks in here and can actually get back to doing the debates. That would definitely be the goal, not just me yapping about the books I'm reading. Is the stream broken? Is there a problem? God damn it. I swear TikTok is so fucking annoying. All right. We'll try this again. We're on the reset. And we're going to hope the reset takes. Maybe. Hopefully it's working this time. Okay, awesome. Okay. All right. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get some folks up and can have some actual debates. Thanks, Bootman Jones. Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, thank you. And also thank you, Lupine. But yeah, as people roll in, hopefully we'll get some. Oh, Jesus. Thank you, Lupine. God damn. Appreciate that. Starting off strong. But yeah, hopefully we'll get some folks who are. Oh, Casey, thank you so much. God damn. You guys are so kind. I feel like I don't deserve it. So all I can do is say thank you. But yeah, hopefully some folks will come up and we can actually have some debates here. Seems like a lot of Kalam cosmological argument tonight. Oh, thank you, Colette. Thank you. Do I accept philosophy? Yeah. Yeah, we can talk philosophy. But yeah, mainly what I'm looking for is folks who are 18 plus, who have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Going late tonight, I don't know how late we'll go. I mean, I used to always go till 10. So, I mean, and what I mean is Central Time. Ah, okay. Where? TikTok is so annoying. Really, TikTok? Really? I think that there's only one way to do this. Oh, damn. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. All right. Yeah, but hopefully we'll get some folks to talk to. Sorry, I was trying to do some maintenance things and then it didn't work out, so that's my bad. But yeah, hopefully we'll have some debates. Would love to actually have some conversations about whether or not there's a reason to believe in a God. Obviously, my position is that no such reason exists. Can I? Why, TikTok? Why you gotta be like this? Okay, I think I have to do it this way. Oh, god damn it. New scripts? Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, if you are 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God, feel free to come up. I'd be happy to have the conversation. Yeah, hopefully everything's working over on YouTube correctly. It seems like the TikTok stream is okay now, hopefully. I don't know why the reset was weird, but yeah, people can join. You just have to click the little icon next to the text box. It's like a pink and blue person. You just click on that, and then it'll bring up a box, and you can hit request. Pretty simple. But yeah, looking to hopefully have some actual debates on whether or not there's a reason to believe in God. Oh, Jason Debateman is there helping. But yeah, hopefully we'll get some folks up who actually want to engage in the conversation in good faith. Anything in philosophy, I guess something more wooey, that could be convincing or possible. To join, you click the pink and blue people next to the text box and then click request when the box pops up. I don't know about wooey stuff. That's a hard question. I'm not sure. But yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Well, knowledge is a kind of belief, so I know and believe that God doesn't exist. Hi, Tyler. How old are you?
Hey, man. Good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. What's your age?
My age? I'm 35.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I think you believe in God, my brother.
That doesn't answer my question.
No, I just did. You believe in God, bro.
So which God do you believe in?
There's more to life than TikTok.
Okay, so you don't want to actually discuss the topic?
Keep searching, buddy. You'll find him, all right?
Okay. I always love the mind readers. All right. Yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Hi, Symbols. How old are you?
I'm 18.
No, you're not. You are definitely not 18. IQ, how old are you?
37.
Okay, and what God do you believe in?
I don't believe in necessarily a specific God, just I believe that there's a creator.
Okay. Like maybe like an immaterial mind that created and sustains everything else in existence?
I don't know exactly what that means because I never used that phrase before. I'm just saying a creator.
Yeah, but it's like a being that has a like knowledge and goodness and things like that, and
no, that's why I'm saying I haven't used that phrase before, so I don't know what you're saying. You're telling me something. I'm just saying I believe in a creator.
Okay, but
Like,
you don't
if
think
you
that it knows anything?
I mean, I think it knows things in a way of like, say you created a
Okay,
robot.
does it know things?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you
So
don't
you're
really
asking-
know what you believe, and I don't know how we can have a debate if I don't even know what your
I said
position
I believe
is.
in a creator. But
Yeah,
if you're
I'm
trying to
asking
pick
whether or not it fits the definition of what I would call a god, and that would typically be something like a personal ultimate foundation to reality, or maybe another way to say that is an immaterial mind that created and sustains everything else in existence besides itself.
Okay, so that's not my definition of God. I
Okay.
call it God.
Yeah,
I'm
no
just saying
problem.
the
It just sounds
creator.
like we're not talking about the same thing. So, I
But
mean,
what God are you talking about?
yeah, well, the kinds of things that you don't believe in. So, well, I'll just move on. I don't want to have a debate about like what words mean. That's not important. Certainly not interesting to me. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus. You have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. And make sure you can also tell me what God you believe in. If you can't do that, don't request, please. Hey, Luna. Glad to see you here. Hi, Dylan.
Hi.
How old are you?
I am 25. Hello.
Hi. And what God do you believe in?
So yes, I believe in the Christian God.
Cool. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
So there was one question on my mind is why I wanted to join, and it was simply, and don't take this in a disrespectful way, but how can you say the sentence God isn't real? Because when you say that sentence, you're acknowledging that something is there.
No.
Even within the word of that sentence.
No, if I say Superman isn't real, does that mean that I must actually think Superman exists? Or am I just saying that a thing that is a concept that we have doesn't match anything in reality?
Well, I mean, like...
Does saying that Superman doesn't exist mean that I have to believe in Superman?
No.
Okay,
no.
fantastic. So you and I both agree that saying something isn't real doesn't mean that you believe in the thing, right?
Okay, I can see where you're coming from on that.
Okay, fantastic. So is there any reason that we should believe in God?
Well, do you believe that when you die, it's over?
Yeah,
Like,
I think
if
it'll be
it-
just like it was before I was born.
Like a darkness? Like,
No, a darkness implies still having an experience. I don't see any reason to think that I'll be having an experience.
okay. So I believe that, like, and maybe I'm wrong, it's okay, but I truly do believe that God is a soul being. He is not a physical being.
That's fine. What's the reason to think that God actually exists?
Well, we had to become here somehow, right?
What's the reason to think that there was a God involved?
So who could have created us if it wasn't someone who...
I'm not interested in you just saying, well, I don't know what the answer is, so I'm going to assume that it's God. I'm asking for a reason to think that the answer is God.
Well, I mean, you have everything written in the Bible. You have your...
Why should I believe in what the Bible says?
See, here's the thing, though. There's a lot of different Bibles, but some of them end
Okay,
up coming back to
Dylan,
the same thing.
Dylan, what's happening right now is that you're making a claim. I ask you for the reason to believe in that claim, and so then you just make another claim. Then I ask you for the reason to believe in that claim, and then you just make another claim. You're not actually giving me any reason to believe anything. You're just stacking claims on top of each other, but there's no foundation for it. It's like a house of cards. Like the tiniest little breeze is going to knock the whole thing over because you don't actually have a foundation of any reason to believe any of the things. You're just regurgitating stuff other people have said to you. So I'm going to ask one last time, what is a reason to think it's true that God exists?
A reason to believe that God exists is because it is something that is well known, well through.
No, you're saying that people believe in it. I know that people believe in it. That's fine. I'm asking, why should we think it's true, not do people believe in it?
And I understand where you're coming from. It's really, really hard, to wonder if you've never seen it, how do you believe in it? It's like me saying a unicorn isn't real. You see what I'm saying?
Well, you can't say that because the real creator of the universe is Eunice, the universe farting unicorn. So obviously unicorns are real, or how else would we have gotten here? I mean, Gary, the reasonably powered goat, couldn't have done it by himself. See how we can just insert whatever we want if we don't have to have evidence? Well, I appreciate you for trying to have the conversation. I hope you have a good one, Dylan. Take care of yourself. We need more about Gary, the reasonably powerful goat. Lupine, I'm looking at you. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Damn. Okay. Oh, now TikTok's going to be stupid. Come on. Okay, there we go. All right. I'll bring up the next person, hopefully. Stream's done? Oh, I don't know. I'll go as long as I can, pretty much. I don't know. We'll see. Hi, Ripple Drains. How old are you?
43.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
We can say the God of the Bible.
Okay. I assume you mean the Christian Bible?
Yes.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in God?
Well, just plainly, what I call creation, or what you would call nature.
Okay. How does that give us a reason to believe in God?
Because there's so much order in nature. And how do you get so much order in nature?
It just sounds like you're saying there's a thing about nature that I don't know how to explain, so I'm just going to assume that God is responsible. Oh, okay. Well, if you have an actual argument or some kind of evidence, then I'd like to hear that, please.
Well, I'm just saying, all you got to do, any scientist that study anything about the natural world will come out and say it's just order.
3 Pips, are you serious? All right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm going to trust my mods. Go ahead and move on. We're not going to platform hateful people. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide justification to believe in a God. Oh, I'm typing in the wrong fucking place. All right. Yeah, we'll bring up Angel, and then it looks like we got David, and then I don't know if that's Marquezes. I don't know. Hopefully we can get to everybody. Not sure if Angel will connect.
Hello.
Hi, Angel. How old are you?
I'm 18.
And what God do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus Christ.
All right. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
Science-based.
Okay, that's... Do you understand the question that I asked you?
What is the question that you asked me?
Yeah, what's the best argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in God? So that doesn't, just saying science-based that's not an argument, it's not evidence. Thanks for coming back, Lamb Jam. You got anything, Angel?
Yeah, I wrote down what I was gonna say. So, whoa.
I can't hear you when you're off the app.
Oh shit. Well, I was gonna say, science can't prove that God is real. But what I would say is that how could the sun be aligned so perfectly?
Yeah, so there's just a thing that you don't
If
know
it
how
was-
to explain, and so you just assume that God is the explanation. That's not good enough for me, so I'm asking if there's some actual arguments or evidence that would give a reason to believe in God.
How could all the like Earth is the only place on the whole galaxy where
Yeah, but I
there's
don't
only
think that we would
habitable-
expect that if there was a God, right? Because God's all powerful, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, so that means that no matter what the physical constants are, God could make life, right?
Excuse me?
It wouldn't matter what the physical constants were. God could make life anyway, right? Let's say that gravity was 1,000 times stronger and the universe was flying apart 100 times faster and all the other physical constants are completely different than the way that they are right now in this universe. Would God be powerful enough to still create life in that universe?
How could it be that
Would God
everything's
still be
aligned so-
powerful enough to create life in that universe?
Look, no.
Would God still be powerful enough to create life in that universe?
How could everything
Would
be so
God
aligned
still be powerful enough to
perfectly?
create life in that universe? Okay. I'm going to ask you the question one more time. If you refuse to answer, everybody knows what that means. Would God still be powerful enough to create life in that non-fine-tuned universe? Okay. Fair enough. I suppose that's one way to concede. Damn, thank you, everybody, for the support. Poopman Jones, Lupine, Casey, thank you so much. Lupine, Eddie, Ali, 2813308004, Lamb Jam, SciTech Nature, thank you all. Sincerely. Okay. Yeah, make sure if you're in the guest queue that you are an adult and you can tell me what God you believe in and you actually have some kind of argument or evidence for your God. All right, David, how old are you? Okay, so that was a child. Hi, Beerus, how old are you?
Hey, man. Sadly, I'm 28, but I feel like I'm still a child. This is my thought. And
Okay,
I've
what God
wrestled
do you
with
believe
it
in?
for a long time.
What God do you believe
I
in?
just believe in God. It's not subscribed to any religion. I feel like religion is like ruined the idea of what God is supposed to be about.
Okay, but you do believe in like a mind that created and sustains everything else that exists?
Do I believe in a mind? No. That creates everything? No. I believe that there's something on a higher plane than us that we can't comprehend.
Okay, so then we're just not talking about the same thing, and I'm not really interested in doing like a semantic debate about
what
like
are you
what we
talking
should be talking about when we say God. So I'm talking about
Whoa,
like
wait. I still believe in a God. I'm
yeah,
so
but what
confused
you
by
when
your-
you say God, you're not talking about the same kind of thing. When I say God isn't real,
You're fighting religions. Okay, then.
well, no, not religions, but God. But anyway, have a good one. If you just use the word God idiosyncratically to mean something other than what most people mean when they say God, that's fine. You can do that. We're just not talking about the same thing. Okay. Alrighty. So yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Steel Rhodes. How old are you?
I'm old enough to be your daddy.
I don't believe you. How old are you?
I'm old enough to be your father, man. But anyway, what's up?
What God do you believe in?
I believe in Almighty God, the creator of heaven and earth, the beginning and the end, Alpha and Omega, bro. Yeah.
Okay, just tell me which God you believe in, please. I don't want to play games.
There's no games being played here.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you one more time. If you can't just tell me directly what God you believe in, I'm going to move on to the next person. What God do you believe in?
I'm going to say this to you. I believe in the Alpha and Omega God.
Okay. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus, that you can tell me what God you believe in, and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Barons. How old are you?
19.
And what God do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Just the fact that we know that everything that begins to exist has a cause, right? And the universe began to exist, meaning it has a cause.
Okay. Why should we think that the universe began to exist?
Because if the universe was infinite, that means in time, right? We would never get to the present.
Why is that?
We'd have to go back to an infinite amount of points.
Why is that?
That's the present. Because you're claiming the universe has existed forever.
No, I never made that claim. You're just saying that it can't be infinite, and I don't know why. Why are you saying it can't be infinite? You haven't given a reason yet.
What was the objection you made to the point? I said that the universe...
Yeah, I asked you why we should think that the universe began to exist. I didn't say what I think about the universe. I just asked why we should think it began to exist. You said the past can't be infinite, and so I'm just asking if you can support that claim.
Okay, since the past can't be infinite...
Why can the past not be infinite?
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. If the past was infinite, you would never get here.
Yeah, that's the claim. What's the justification for that claim?
Logic?
Well, if it's logical, then you should have no problem telling me the logical inference.
I need you to tell me why...
So what's the logical inference that we wouldn't be able to get to today if the past was infinite?
Because you'd have to pass an infinite amount of time.
Yeah, that's the
It doesn't
claim.
matter.
What's the justification for that claim?
You don't need a justification.
Oh, you just get to assert the claim without justifying it. That's what you're saying?
It's inherent.
So you get to just assert it without justifying it?
Do you agree that there's things that exist that are defined just...
So you can't give a justification for your claim?
I'm telling you that
Okay.
there's things like...
Well, I'm going to ask you
Why
one
are
more
why are
time.
you-
I'm going to
why are
ask you
why
one
are
more
like-
time. And if you
why
don't
can't I
give a
speak?
justification, so your option, you got three options here.
I'm gonna
You
give you
can,
justification,
you can,
but there's
you
backing
can
to it.
give the justification. You can retract the claim because you can't justify it, or you can tuck tail and run away. And answering with anything other than the justification or retraction of the claim is tucking the tail and running away. So, what's the justification for your claim that the past can't be infinite?
Yeah, I actually just forgot, but now you're gonna like insult me and stuff because you're just such a disrespectful dude jumping at my claims. not
So you
letting
don't
me
want to
speak
support
and
the
stuff.
claim? Is that
I'm
correct?
gonna support the claim. Give me a sec.
Oh, so what's the support for the claim?
Can I give the justification but have an explanation before it?
No,
Just
absolutely not. No, if you try that, that's a concession. Just give the explanation. Give the justification for your claim.
So there's things that are inherently logical, such as the numbers. Numbers are inherently
No, you're
inherently exist. They don't
okay.
need to be
Well, that's
defined.
the concession right there. You're just trying to justify that you don't have to justify your position is a concession that you can't justify your position. Oh, criminy. All right. If you are in the guest queue, or if you're thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, CDS. How old are you?
19.
When were you born?
2006.
All right. That was too much. I'm sorry. You sound too young for me to allow a pause like that. I'm sorry. Maybe they really were 19. I have no idea. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Just so you guys know, begging in the chat to be let up gets you skipped. Just a heads up. Hi, Fred. How old are you?
Ogar, 33, man.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
So can I ask you first what
Nope. What God do you believe in?
Let's say Jesus to
Okay.
start the conversation.
And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Existence, I would say to start, the infinite existence of existence.
I don't know what the infinite existence of existence means, and just saying that phrase doesn't provide any arguments or evidence.
Completely agree with you.
Okay, so I asked you for an argument or evidence, and then you said
Yes.
something that you agree
So I
was
would say
neither,
that-
so don't do that again. What's the best argument or evidence for God?
I would say the infinite existence of the universe. That would be my first.
You already
I-
agreed that saying that is not an argument and it's not evidence, so I'm going to give you one more opportunity. What is the argument or evidence for God? And if your response isn't an argument or presentation of evidence, I'm just going to move on.
Okay, I would say first of all, I don't agree in the definition of God that you're.
Okay,
you're
so that's not an argument or evidence. I told you anything other than an argument or evidence gets you dropped, and so you're being dropped. I don't know why it's so complicated. Just give the argument or the evidence. That's all you got to do. It's not that tough. Okay, so we're passing over Pawn. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. And that you can also tell me what God you believe in. Oh, I know, I'm so emotional. Oh my God, I'm so emotional. Hi, Rakai, how old are you?
Jesus is King of Kings.
Oh, children. Go away, children. Go away. All right. Maybe we can actually talk to an adult. Let's find out. Thank you for the compliment, Bourbon. I didn't think I was being very feminine, but I appreciate that you think I am. Adults only out. Hi, Maverick. How old are you?
I'm 39.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
It will go with Christ.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Pretty much like I think the best like observation of like why God exists is how this planet is the one planet that can support life versus everything else.
I guess I'm not sure why. Number one, I don't know how we can verify that because we haven't explored other planets. And number two, like even if that was true, I have no idea why that would give us reason to believe in a God.
Well, I mean, the fact of like having versus all the planets that we do know about and everything that we do know about, that this is the only planet that we know to our existence.
Right,
that
so
can
that's a
support
totally different claim than the one that you made originally. First, you said we're the only planet with life, and now you're agreeing that, well, we haven't really explored that many planets, but of the, like, 2 that we've explored, this is the only one. Okay, fine. That's a totally different claim. That's a trick called a Mott and Bailey, where you make one claim, and then when you actually have to defend it, you're defending a totally different claim than the one that you started with.
I was actually going with what you said. No, I was going with what you
right,
said.
you're
You
agreeing with me because you know that your original claim you can't support. So now that we've gotten rid of that one, what's the reason to think that even if this was the only planet with life, that would give us a reason to believe in God?
Because there's no way at all that you can sit there and believe that this right
Don't
here
tell me what
is-
I can and can't believe. Just give the argument for God, please.
The argument of God is like existence in itself.
And how does existence itself give us a reason to believe in God?
Because it doesn't come out of thin air.
Okay. How does that give us a reason to believe in God? I need you to get to God.
I'm getting to God that with existence doesn't come out of thin air. It has to begin at some point. It doesn't just happen on
Why
its
does it
own.
have to begin?
Why? How does that even make sense? If it doesn't begin, then it can't start. So
Which word do I need to explain?
The beginning part.
Why? You don't know what the word why means?
No, begin. Like begin.
You don't know what
said
begin means?
No, I know. I'm telling you that. I'm
Okay,
asking
why should
you-
I think that the universe had a beginning?
If there's no beginning, then there's no end. Like if something doesn't begin,
That doesn't make any sense. Just tell me why I should think the universe had a beginning.
Okay, so let's just say if you believed in evolution, so at one point something had to begin in order for us to.
I'm asking why we should think that the universe began.
What do you mean? That makes no sense.
Do you know what the universe is?
I know what the universe.
Okay.
is.
Do you know what it means for something to begin?
So do you believe like something just?
Do you know what it
popped
means
up?
for something to begin?
Yes.
Okay.
Then
Do you
why-
understand when somebody asks why they should believe something?
So it's like the chicken.
Do you understand what it means when someone asks why they should believe something?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm asking is why I should believe that the universe had a beginning. You said that you understood all of the concepts. I'm just putting them together to ask the question, why should I think the universe had a beginning?
Okay, so let's just say that for what you're saying, that it was just a blank piece of paper. At some point,
No, I'm asking why I should think it had a beginning.
So may I ask what you believe?
No, why should I think the universe had a beginning? This is the central to your argument for God, so you need to be able to
Right.
demonstrate that or admit that you don't have an argument for God. Or I mean, I guess you could give a different one and agree this one doesn't work.
I can give an argument, but at the same time, like it's a conversation goes back and forth. If you want to know what I believe, and I'm asking you questions about what you believe, like I like to have like a cordial conversation about that.
Okay,
Like,
well,
that's
I'm trying to have a debate right now, and you're refusing to engage. So I'm just
No, but-
asking for the reason why we should think the universe had a beginning, because clearly that's central to your argument for God.
But on the debate, do you not have an opinion on that debate on where you have to like
Yeah,
actually debate?
Yeah,
some?
my opinion is that we have good reason to think God doesn't exist, and we have no reason to think that the universe had a beginning. Now, you could
So I'm asking
you could
you, what
convince me to
exactly
change my
is true,
position. So what would be the reason to think the universe had a beginning?
Once again, I'm gonna say that very since every single human being can sit there and understand that beginning is like when you start something.
Yeah, why should I
Like,
think the
there's-
universe had a start?
Then what would be the other answer for that?
That it didn't have a start.
So if nothing started, then that's what I'm trying to say. Like logically, if it didn't
Are
have
you
a start,
are you saying that things can't exist if they don't have a beginning?
technically,
Oh, okay. So when did your God begin?
that was beyond my knowledge.
When did he begin? You have to know that he did have a beginning,
Actually,
right?
no. Because if
Did God
was
have a
the one-
beginning?
I'm sure he did.
Okay, so so you believe in a God that didn't always exist, is what you're saying.
It's very possible. If God was within my logic, would he really be a God? No. If you.
Oh,
if you
okay.
were-
So what you're saying is logic doesn't apply to God.
No. Why would it? If he.
Oh,
Can, if he
okay. Well, so then you're saying that the law of identity doesn't apply to God because that's one of the laws of logic.
no. Why would it? He's a
Oh,
God.
okay. Well, if the law of identity doesn't apply to God, then you actually can't have a thought about God. And since believing in something is thinking that a thing is true, and you can't have a thought about God, that means that you can't believe in God. So, in fact, what you've done now is you've described something that you literally can't have a belief in. If you can, if you can have a belief in God, that means that God is what He is and He's not what He's not. But if God is what He is and He's not what He's not, that means the law of identity applies to God, which means logic applies to God. So you have two options. You can take back the thing that you said about logic not applying to God, so that you can retain the ability to have a belief in Him. Or if you want to continue saying that God is illogical, then you can't have a belief in Him. So which of those two options do you want?
So if God lived in time, space, or matter, would He really be a God?
That wasn't my question. Which of those two options
but
do
it
you want to
goes-
take?
No, but that goes into logic because nothing.
But
that
you
we
just said
know-
that you believe. Okay, so you're saying though that you believe in an illogical God?
somebody who's going to be beyond.
Do you
our
believe in a
logic,
logical God or an illogical God?
somebody who's beyond our logic.
Do you believe in a logical God or an illogical God?
What do you mean by logical God? How about that?
A God to whom logic applies.
But whose logic? Your logic?
Logic simpliciter.
logic?
Logic simpliciter.
So would that really be a God though?
So do you believe in a logical God or an illogical God?
I'm asking you a question. Would that
Yeah,
be
you're
a God?
asking a question to get out of answering the question. Do
No,
you
I'm
believe in a
answering that.
logical God or an illogical God?
I believe, I guess, in an illogical God, a God
Okay,
who cannot.
fair enough. If you are going to reject the ability to even have thoughts in order to preserve your belief, then there's no reason for us to
That
continue
doesn't
talking.
make sense though.
So the thing about the law of identity is that if the law of identity doesn't apply to something, then that thing, you literally can't have a thought about it, right? Because the law of identity is saying that a thing is what it is and it's not what it's not. If God doesn't have a consistent identity, it's literally not possible to have a thought about him. If you can't have a thought about him, you can't have a belief about him. Thank you everybody for the support, man. Where are we at? SciTech Nature, thank you so much. Jason Debateman, thank you. Dabnese, spelled with a silent 7. Brittany Irene, supporting Barons. Well, hey, thanks for supporting the guests as well. Thank you to CDS. Wow, that's awesome of you to support. Thank you, Eddie, Lem, Dabnese, Josh Stritmater. Thank you, John Esparza, and thank you so much, SciTech Nature. You guys are awesome. Astronova, he said it. I saw your comment and I got him to say it. Catalog 6,500 planets. Yeah, catalog, but not investigated them for life. Anyway, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Okay. Hi, Sophist. How old are you?
Hey, Ogre, 28.
And what God do you believe in?
Yeah, I don't believe in God, so if you want to kick me now, that's fine. I just wanted to say that I think actually the illogical argument's the best one. I think after all the cards have been played and dealt, really you just have to accept that Christianity is a myth and believe it anyway. I feel like that's the best Christian argument.
Well, that's probably true. Unfortunately, no reasonable person should ever do that. So, yeah, you have to be an unreasonable person to believe it, which I agree. But I appreciate you being here and supporting, and I hope that you have a good one. Hopefully, we can have some debates. I do love you all. I do genuinely, but the purpose is to have the debate. So, not trying to be an asshole, but I'm an asshole. So, what are you going to do about it? Yeah, if you're in the guest queue, make sure you're an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God. And that you can tell me what God you believe in. Hi, Rune. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I believe in the Christian God.
All right. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us reason to believe in God?
Him wiping out like majority of humanity, and acting in mass genocide.
Okay, so that's a good reason to believe in God?
It's a divine notion. So without it, it's no actual progress in society. So without God, we wouldn't be where we at.
Well, why should we think that God even exists?
Well, nothing cannot come from nothing.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with God. So why should we think that God exists?
It has everything to do with God.
No, because you don't have to believe in something from nothing to not believe in God.
No, the point of God is that something is the start of everything.
Okay, why should we think everything had a start?
Because nothing cannot have a start. If it's nothing.
Oh, so everything that exists must have a start?
Yes.
Does God exist?
Yes.
Okay, so everything that exists has a start. God exists. Therefore, God has a start, right?
He's the start of. That's a paradox.
So when did God have? When was God start?
God was always in essence.
No, you are now contradicting yourself. So we're going to put it up on the board here. Oh, I got to do this. Okay, so everything that exists had a start. God exists. So the conclusion is God had a start. So when was God start?
Bro, God is in essence.
So when was God start?
You can't have.
Okay, so here's the thing. We're not going to do this. We're not going to play the games. So what you can do now is you can either explain what created God and when he started, or you can retract your claim. So those are your two options right now.
Multiple times.
Yep. So explain what started God.
It, bro.
Yeah, explain what started God.
You're not conceptualizing it, game.
So explain what started God.
All right. So if something needs to have a start in order to expand.
No, what started God?
You can't. It doesn't work like that.
Okay. So then here we'll just put it this way: if God exists, he did not have a start. God does not exist. So based on your principle that everything that exists has a start, we can conclude that God does not exist. So here's your option.
No, we cannot.
You can either reject a premise, or or you can reject logic, in which case I'm just going to move on.
That's not fair.
So you're not going to reject a premise?
There's a multitude of implications. You're forcing two narrow paths. There's a multitude.
If there's something wrong, then you can reject a premise.
That's not.
So the next thing you say is either going to be the number of which premise you reject, or it's a concession.
That's not fair to all of everything.
Okay, thanks for the concession. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can at least explain what's not fair or what's not correct.
Jesus is king.
Hi, not Tommy. How old are you?
Oh, I didn't mean the request. My bad. I didn't mean the request. My bad.
So, what God do you believe in? You don't want to talk?
Kick me?
All right, fair enough. You just came up to preach. Well, typically when I have a guest up, I think that the request button is going to be by their name. If I don't have somebody up, then there should be like a pink and blue icon. Well, there always is a pink and blue icon next to the text box. You click on that, and then it'll bring up a box that has a request button, and you can request. It'll tell you like how many people are requesting, and then you can request. All right. Oh, didn't we already do that? This is annoying. Wasn't that somebody we already talked to? Apparently not. ICDS, how old are you?
I'm 19. You canceled me before.
Why did I do that?
I told you I was born in 2006.
Oh, because you sound like a child.
Yeah, I'm not a child, though.
I don't know. I don't really believe you. I'm sorry. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus, that you have some kind of argument or evidence for God, and to start with, that you can actually tell me what God you believe in. Hi, Leah. How old are you?
I'm 55.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I believe in the Christian God. And I want to clarify, if you don't mind, that your question is God isn't real, or your statement, and prove you wrong. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I mean, it's if I'm being, fully honest and transparent here, it's kind of clickbaity, because what I would rather it said is something like, there's no rational justification for theism. But when I put that up there, nobody requests, and everybody just asks me what theism is. And so people don't understand. So I changed it to God isn't real, prove me wrong, so that people would know what the topic is. So, I mean, I will fully acknowledge that it is kind of a clickbaity headline.
Okay. So, I'm going to work off of that premise, if it's okay with you.
Well, I'm just looking for some argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in God.
So for me, it was personal. I wanted to know, like you and everyone else, is God real? So I fasted and prayed and asked questions, and God led
Leah,
me to the answers to heal my child.
So here's the problem, Leah, here's my problem. I understand that you had an experience. I understand that you've interpreted that experience in a way that that it confirms God. My issue isn't like, I don't need to hear about the experience. What I need is to understand how you determined that the Christian God is the correct explanation for your experience.
Because I prayed in the name of Jesus, and every time I do that, every time I've healed people, every time.
Okay, so what you're saying is that God answers prayers.
Absolutely.
Okay, so God answers prayers every time, and that's how you know for sure that it's God.
Well, every time God answers prayer, It may be long. You may have to wait longer, but it's
But God always
something
answers?
good. Always answers.
And he always gives you what you're asking for?
No, he does not always, but he always answers.
So how do you know that he always answers if he's not giving you what you're asking for?
Because you learn to fast, pray, and
No, that's not my
hear
question.
the
How do
inner
you know
voice
that he
of
always
God.
answers if you're not getting what you're asking for?
Because he'll explain why.
How does he
You
explain
won't-
why?
Because he'll explain maybe you're asking for the wrong
How
motive.
does he explain?
He speaks to your heart.
How does
your
he?
conscious mind.
How do you know that you are accurately interpreting when God speaks to your heart?
Because I've memorized the word of God and he speaks it back to my conscious mind.
Okay, you're not giving me a method. What I need you to do is give me a method where I can determine when other people tell me that, it was the Muslim God or the Jewish God or the Hindu God speaking to their hearts. What's the tool that I can use to determine if they're telling me the truth or if you're right?
Well, let me give you an example.
No, I don't want
was
an
at-
example. I want you to tell me the tool that I can use.
The word of God is the tool that I use.
Okay, how do I know what the actual word of God is?
Well, I tested it. Because,
How do I know what the actual word of God is?
Well, you can read them all and I guess test them.
How do I know what the actual word of God is? I need to know the method that I can use to determine what the true word of God
For
is.
me, I've studied all the religions.
Okay.
For me,
I don't
it's
want to
got
keep having to
something
ask the
going
same
on
question
test.
100 times, Leah. So I'm just going to ask one more time. And if your response isn't, directly telling me the method that I can use to determine the word of God, then I'm just going to move on. What is the method I can use to determine with 100% confidence, or at least a high level of confidence, what the actual word of God is?
Okay. I'm going to say it again. You can meditate, pray.
Okay. Well, people do that stuff in all kinds of in all kinds of religious and spiritual traditions, and they come to different conclusions. So just doing that clearly isn't enough. Okay. All right. Cherry picking people on their accounts. I bring up the people who request, and I bring them up in the order that they requested. If you don't like the people that I'm talking to, then get other people to request. That's the best I can tell you. I don't ask people to come here. I don't determine who requests and who doesn't. I bring up the people that request. That's it. All right. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. What in the fuck is happening in the chat right now? Some people. Hi, JP. How old are you?
I'm 18.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
Okay, we're not doing that. So what is
Okay. Hi, how old are you? Hello. Fair enough. Hello, how old are you?
48.
And what God do you believe in?
I believe there is a creator, but not a God. Like we are told there is a God. That word God is actually a made-up term.
Well, all terms are made up. Do you believe in like a personal ultimate foundation to reality?
Well, all terms are made up. You're correct on that.
Okay, that's not an answer to my question.
Yeah, I don't like the way you talk and the way you are. Like you.
Okay. You don't have to be here. All right. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Only probably the worst streamer. I'll take that as a win. Hi, Alex. How old are you?
19.
And what God do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
Cool. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God?
Can I ask you a quick question? What is theism?
Solid. So you have anything? Or was that it?
Nah, I just wanted to ask that, man. I'm being honest with you.
Are you genuinely asking what theism is?
Yeah, I genuinely did want to know.
Theism just means believing in God.
Oh, it's just the single belief of one?
Well, no. So theism, I guess, more technically would be believing in a theistic God. And a theistic God is typically going to be the kind of God that I'm talking about, a personal, ultimate foundation to reality. I guess like the theistic, the extra criteria that theism would have over deism would be that it's a God that is to at least some degree interested in the goings on of the universe, whereas a fully deistic God would maybe like make the universe and then fuck off.
So like a one that pays attention to what he's doing, and another who just like sits by and watches.
Yeah, like a deistic God would be the one that probably doesn't even watch, and just like set everything in motion and then just fucked off and went on vacation. Where a theistic God would at least have some level of involvement, maybe not to the not necessarily to the degree of Christianity or Islam, where like God is like interfering in human affairs and sending messengers down and stuff. But yeah.
Thank you for the explanation. That was all.
All right, have a good one. Honestly, I assume that was just a troll. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. I guess I do need to check one thing here. Really? That's not a good sign. Okay. Hi, Abyss. How old are you?
I'm 25.
And what God do you believe in?
Well, I believe in the God, Jesus Christ.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God?
Well, I think he's the Son of God, right? You don't believe so?
I don't believe in a God, and so of course I can't believe that God has a son. What's the reason to believe that a God exists at all?
Because the universe was created by him.
Okay. That obviously if God doesn't exist, he couldn't have created the universe, so what's the reason to think that God exists?
Because I feel like he did, brother. I think God, he has to be a creator out here, man.
And why's that?
Because what would life be without like you think you just we're like made out of energy like most people say, or?
So do you have any arguments or evidence?
Yeah, the Shroud of Turin.
Okay. So the type of fabric that the Shroud of Turin was made out of didn't exist for 800 to 1,000 years after Jesus died. So since it's literally not possible, okay, if you keep turning on your camera, I'm just going to drop you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Fair enough. All right. If you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Time traveling fabric, yeah. Hi, At. How old are you?
Shut your bald head ass up.
Is that the best you got?
Shut your bald head ass up.
One more. It's my jam.
Shut your bald head ass up.
Shut your bald head ass up.
Shut your bald head ass up.
Yeah. Oh, come on. That was my jam.
Shut your bald head ass up.
Yeah, buddy. Fucking bars, man. Shut your bald head ass up. Oh, good times. Can I sing? I mean, that depends on what you mean by sing. Okay, well, currently don't have prison tats. Yes, definitely. Oh, it'd be hard to get prison tats having never gone to prison. Oh, I don't know how to do that, Astronova. I'm a fucking idiot, you know? Like I don't do marketing and stuff. I just do the lives and Exactly, Glitter. I'm glad you get it. I just do the lives, and fortunately, that's been enough to bring people in to watch and stuff. Shut your bald head ass up. Shut your bald head ass up. That just sounds like fun. Well, yeah, that's easy to say, Astronova, but I have no idea how I would get in contact with Justin or do anything like that. I would have no idea how to contact him. I think he's actually following me here on TikTok, but I wouldn't know how to contact him in a way that he would actually like, you know, see it or have any interest in responding.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going okay. How are you doing?
Doing good. I did want your opinion on something.
All right.
It's an argument that I actually find semi-convincing.
Oh, I hate this stupid song thing. Okay, so guess what's happening? Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, have you ever heard of the ontological argument for God?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. Which one?
Yeah, basically the idea that like, as God is defined, classically, it must be like this, like maximally powerful, like maximally good being, right? And if God exists strictly as like a mind thought, then it could be conceived of to be greater by taking some sort of physical form. So therefore, for God to be like this maximally great thing, it must be real. I think it's kind of strange, but I wanted your thoughts on it, and I saw the cube was empty.
Yeah. So basically, what it boils down to is that it doesn't really matter what you say the definition of God is, and like even if you say like, since we're defining God as the, you know, maximally greatest possible being, then that means that he has to exist as part of the definition. Fine, I can agree that that's part of the definition of God for, you know, the people who conceive of it that way. The problem is that what you define a word as has nothing to do with whether or not that word corresponds to anything in reality. So just because they defined God as something that must exist in order for it to be God, that doesn't bring it into existence. You just say, okay, so we know that for this word to apply to anything, the thing has to exist. Well, there doesn't seem to be anything that exists that word applies to, so it just fails to refer to anything. Fair enough. You know, it's a concept, but it doesn't seem to actually refer to anything in reality.
So it would exist conceptually, but not like in any like actual sense, is what you're saying?
Yeah, like in our minds, the concept of God exists, and we know that if God existed in reality, it would have these, you know, based on, if you agree with that definition, you would say if God existed in reality, these are the characteristics that it would have, one of which would be existing, and that's fine, but that doesn't force it to be the case that in reality there is an actual referent for the concept.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, I just wanted to get your thoughts and kind of try to fill up the dead space. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, you too.
Bye. Awesome. Thanks, Luna. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, we have like 240 people in here and no theists requesting, no God believers requesting. So if you are an adult and you believe in a God and you think you have any argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God, please feel free to request. I'd be happy to have the conversation. Now, I thought, oh, thanks, Jaden. That's cool. If you, okay, so I thought you were going to talk about the modal ontological argument, but that's a totally different argument. And I was listening to a lecture recently that was talking about the modal ontological argument and how it kind of begs the question. And I thought that was really interesting. And I haven't really gotten a chance to run that because most people don't give the don't run that argument because it's not very good. The modal ontological argument says necessarily if God exists, then God necessarily exists. Premise 2, God possibly exists. And then because of the S5 axiom of modal logic, you would be able to conclude from those premises that God does exist in reality necessarily. The problem with that is that if you just flip it and you say, the second premise, instead of God possibly exists, is God possibly doesn't exist, then it just follows that God doesn't exist. So it's like they're on par with each other. Yeah, that's exactly it, Jaden. Yeah. Joseph Schmid made a really good argument that basically you just reject or if you just go to a more parsimonious logic modal system, then the argument the modal ontological argument stops working, but the reverse keeps working, which means that the reverse is the better of the two arguments because it has that privileged status of working in logical modal systems where the MOA doesn't work. Yeah, there's a video on, I think it's Phil Halper's channel where they go over it. Oh, hi Nick. What's up?
So I think you know I'm not a theist. I just had a question about
Yeah.
one of the views you have. So I guess as I am right now, I don't believe in like objective morals, but I think when you talk about it, it's really interesting because I didn't know that without being theist, you could believe in objective morals. Since I heard you talk about it, I just wanted to know if you could elaborate a little bit more on it and like how it works.
Yeah, I'll give the two arguments. So there's an argument. Hopefully everybody here is familiar with Allegedly Ian. I'm a big fan. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Sorry, no, I'm not.
Okay, fair enough. So there's an argument that I got from them that kind of shows us that there are moral rights from agency. Now, this is, as you can see, a very long argument. But the idea is that, so I'm an agent, and what it means to be an agent is that I take actions to achieve goals. So anything that's necessary to achieve a goal that I have a reason to do it or to have it. Freedom and well-being are necessary for any goal that I could possibly have, which means that I have a reason or that I have a reason to have freedom and well-being. But if I have a reason to have something, then I'm saying that I ought have it. So I can conclude that I ought have freedom and well-being. But since I was, and then I would say that, if I ought have freedom and well-being, if I'm committed to the position that I ought have it, then I'm also committed to the position that others ought not interfere with my freedom and well-being. Now, obviously, that doesn't actually obligate other people not to do it, but it just says that, like, logically, I'm committed to the position that others shouldn't interfere with my freedom and well-being. But that's now an outward-facing ought. I'm claiming an outward-facing ought, and a claim of an outward-facing ought is just a right. So if I'm saying that others ought not interfere with my freedom and well-being, then I have a right to do it. So then I'm now saying I have a right to freedom and well-being. And then if my agency is sufficient to grant me a right to freedom and well-being, because remember, all we had to start with is just the mere fact that I'm an agent. And from that alone, we were able to conclude that I have this right. But if my agency is enough to give me that right, then it must be the case that all agents have that right. And so then we would conclude that all agents have a right to freedom and well-being. Now, the typical question is, how is this stance independent or mind independent? And I understand that, because we're saying that it, like, we're talking about actions, we're talking about goals in the argument. So I understand that it seems like it's dependent on the goals. The problem is, the reason that I don't think that works as a response or a problem for this argument is that we're not saying there's some specific goal you have to have in order for this to apply, right? It's just the fact that by definition, being an agent means you have goals and you take actions to achieve them. So the only way that you could stop this from applying to you isn't by getting rid of some specific goal. You would have to literally stop being an agent by getting rid of all goals and not working to achieve them. So this isn't based on that someone has a goal. It's based on that agency exists, agents exist. And now it's just a fact, an objective fact about agents that they take actions to achieve goals. So I think that this argument establishes what I would call moral patienthood, being a moral patient. So someone, or say a moral patient is going to be an agent that moral actors or moral agents have an obligation to consider, right? So we have moral agents have an obligation to consider how their actions affect moral patience, right? And so then the argument for moral agency itself, I would say, though, this is where it's going to get much weaker, because this is my argument that not that I'm going to say that I came up with this entirely on my own. It's very much based on that argument that I got from Ian. But this argument, I think, gets us to moral agency, not just moral patienthood. So not only am I an agent, I'm a reflective agent. And what it means to be a reflective agent is that when I have impulses, I'm able to reflect on them and then make a determination internally whether or not to act on those impulses, or if, all things considered, I should do something else, right? So that's what it means to be a reflective agent. So if I'm a reflective agent, I think this is true for all reflective agents, my ultimate goal is going to be eudaimonia. Eudaimonia is just living a good life, is a really simple way to say it. To cash it out a little bit more, I'd be saying eudaimonia is living a life that, at the end of which, you can look back and accurately, reliably evaluate as having been a good life. So not only do you want to... Yeah, go ahead.
Wouldn't eudaimonia then be subjective, or is that an objective thing?
So what I'm saying is that what eudaimonia means for you is subjective. What it means for me is subjective. And in the same way that we were talking before about, obviously, like the specific goals that agents have, those goals themselves are subjective. The thing that's objective is that being an agent, that's objective.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So in the same way that that's objective, me being a reflective agent is objective. Like I think about this sometimes with like favorite colors. My favorite color is purple. If I said purple is the best color, that's obviously only subjectively true. However, if I said, so me saying purple is the best color, obviously subjective, but if I claim my favorite color is purple, now I'm making an objective claim. It is either objectively true or false that it is the case that my favorite color is purple. So we can make objective claims. There are objective truth makers about things that involve subjectivity.
Okay.
So if I'm a reflective agent, then my ultimate goal is going to be eudaimonia. If my ultimate goal is eudaimonia, then, all things considered, I have a reason to act in accordance with virtue, right? If, all things considered, I have a reason to do something, then that's just saying I ought do it, right? Okay. Now, obviously, we wouldn't say that we ought do everything necessarily that you have some reason to do, but if, all things considered, you still have a reason to do something, then I would say you ought do it. And since, all things considered, I have a reason to act in accordance with virtue, I ought act in accordance with virtue. But if my reflective agency is sufficient to entail that I ought act in accordance with virtue, then that means that all reflective agents ought act in accordance with virtue. And so then we would conclude all reflective agents have an obligation to act in accordance with virtue. And so the reason that I say that this gets us to moral agency, where the other one only gets us to moral patienthood, is that the other one is saying, we have a right, or all agents have a right that moral agents ought respect. And then this one is saying who the actual moral agents are. And I think that's all reflective agents.
Okay. What would you define virtue as?
So I think that my conception of the virtues are going to be justice, charity, temperance, courage, honesty, that stuff.
Okay. Could you pull it back up for a sec? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I think the only thing that I could see that they're like, not to say that it's a bad argument, but like the only thing that I might see a problem with would be point 3 or premise 3, because I think we agreed that eudaimonia between people is subjective. So I think that maybe some people's eudaimonia may not be based on acting in accordance with virtue.
So this is where I think that the definition of eudaimonia is important to keep in mind, because what I'm saying is I think that we all have the ultimate desire. Like, if you trace back your reasons to do anything, I think that at the end of the day, you're going to say that your ultimate reason is that, I'm working on going to college finally. Only took me till I was 40.
Yeah.
But now that I'm working on that, like, why am I doing that? Well, I'm doing it because I want to get a degree. But why do I want to get a degree? Or like, why do I want to, learn the things that I'll learn in school? Well, because I think that they'll improve my life. And if I keep digging and asking, why do I want to do it? Why do I want to do it? I think the bedrock is going to be, I want to live a life that I can evaluate as being good or having been a good life.
Right.
The problem with that is that if I want to be able to evaluate my life as having been good, then that means that I need to make sure that I can accurately evaluate whether or not my life was good. And the only way that I can accurately evaluate whether or not my life is good is if I'm the kind of person who accurately evaluates those types of things, who can trust their evaluations of lives to be accurate. So that means that I have to characteristically be someone who treats like cases alike and evaluates like cases alike. Well, that's just saying that I have to adhere to the virtue of justice, right? And the same thing is going to be true about, like, if I'm the kind of person who is characteristically dishonest, then I'm also not going to be able to trust that my life has been good. I will have created social ties that are built around and based on dishonesty. I won't be able to trust that my relationships are what I think they are. And that's another reason I won't be able to accurately evaluate my life. And I think that if we go through and we say, like, what are the ways of behaving, the characteristic ways of behaving that are most likely to lead someone to a life that they can reliably and accurately evaluate as having been a good life, I think that we're just going to find that those are the virtues.
I see. So you need to, well, how do I describe it? So, sorry, I'm having a second to think. Okay, so you need to evaluate your life to see if you've like achieved eudaimonia, like a good life. And the only way to reliably do that is to act in accordance with the virtues.
Yeah, I think so. I think that if you're not a virtuous person, then you're not going to be able to rely on your ability to evaluate whether you've had a good life. And if you can't rely on that, then you can't make that evaluation.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't think that this is like, should give us all 100% certainty. But personally, I think that this kind of thing and a lot of other stuff that I'm reading, I think it gives me sufficient justification for me to feel confident that this is an accurate view. But, I think that, like, I still think that there are good arguments for non-cognitivism, and other moral positions. So I'm not going to say that everybody should agree with me. However, I would say that obviously my position is everyone should be virtuous.
Right. Okay, cool. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, I appreciate the question and being able to talk about it. I love nerding out about this shit. So thank you.
Yeah. I really appreciate your style of debating where you're like open to like growth, because I feel like there's so many like disingenuous debaters that really only care about winning, and that's just like so uninteresting like to hear.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that really frustrates me is how often I get the question, like, what's your record? You know what I mean? People asking me, like, how many debates have you lost? How many have you won? Like, I feel like I would have to be a piece of shit to sit down, because I take notes on all my conversations, right? I do.
Yeah.
But you know what column I don't have on my spreadsheet?
Loss.
Who I think won. I don't give a fuck. That's not the kind of thing that I think about. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. Honestly, the wins are the ones where I'm able to have a genuine, honest conversation where at least some level of understanding happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the wins, in my opinion. It's not the cooking people. I don't give a fuck about that.
Right. Yeah, that probably is more of a win than like a useless conversation or something that you lose but don't gain anything out of.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm not here to talk shade on other creators, other streamers, anything like that. However, there are a lot of times when I see streamers intentionally drag out conversations with dumb people, with bad faith people, because they know that it's going to make good content. And again, I don't begrudge people who, take this seriously. I don't begrudge them for wanting to create content that is going to help them be successful. I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm not trying to say that they're wrong for doing that. I just don't prefer that kind of style myself.
Okay. That's cool, man.
All right. Well,
awesome.
I appreciate you, and I hope you have a good one. You take care of yourself, okay?
Yeah, thank you. You too.
See ya. Astronova, hey, thanks, Saul. And also thanks for being here. Astronova, I'm not sure exactly what your question is, or where those comments were. I'm so sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the comments. Thanks, Luna. Yeah, thank you for the conversation, Nick. Okay. Well, we have now gotten to 10 p.m. Central. I've been going since like 6:30-ish. How morals can be objective. Well, I think that that shows objectivity. Like, kind of like Nick and I were talking about, agents have subjective goals, but it's objective that someone is an agent. Does that make sense? Or like a reflective agent. I think that's an objective fact. Like, Ogar is a reflective agent. That is an objective fact. And I think it's an and that I think is the truth maker for the moral claims. So I'm essentially saying that moral claims are true in virtue of reflective agents existing. And so I think it's objective that reflective agents exist, even if, the values or goals of reflective agents are subjective. Right. That's what I'm saying, Astronova. It's a mind and language independent, objective fact that reflective agents exist. Right? The truth of the claim objective agents exist doesn't depend on anyone's stance. Right? I don't have to believe that I don't have to believe that reflective agents exist for it to be true that reflective agents exist. Right? No one has to believe it. Everyone could be in denial about the existence of reflective agents, and it would still be true that reflective agents exist. That's why I'm saying that it's objective. Because I think that the rest of everything that I'm saying follows. So, good question about my schedule. I have kind of changed it. I've been typically doing... Hey, thank you very much. I don't know, JJ Ren the Gray. Well, it sounds like I just didn't do a good job of explaining it, Astronova, and I don't think I can go through the whole thing again. But typically my streaming schedule is Sunday night to Thursday night, about 7 p.m. Central to about 9 p.m. Central. I used to do 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., but it's become a lot easier to just do about 7 to 9. And sometimes I'll go later, depending on what's going on. Or sometimes I might start a little bit earlier. No, I am saying objective morality exists. 100%. That is my position, that morals are objective. But okay, I'm going to go ahead and call it for the evening. Thank you, everybody, so much. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the interaction, the likes, all of that. I want to remind everybody, remember that tomorrow is not guaranteed. So you don't know how many opportunities you have left to let your family and friends know how important they are to you. So take every opportunity.